Drivers, start your engines.
Welcome to the Sports Car War Zone.
It's absolutely out of hand. The sports car, everybody knows we've had problems with contact.
And it's just like driving down the 5 in rush hour in LA. There's always somebody going fast and somebody going slow, and you always think you should have the road.
World-class drivers with very different philosophies.
What he did when I came up to lap him was just absolutely unacceptable. As a driver, I would be very, very embarrassed to do something like that myself.
We're just out there, it's just like, anything goes anymore. Something's got to be done. They told us, they promised us they would sit down and do something. This took place. It happened again.
Will the season-long road rage continue? Welcome to Las Vegas, a city famous for entertainment, high-stakes gambling, and boxing matches. We're at the $200 million Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and this afternoon at the penultimate round of the American Le Mans Series, we expect the city's theme of fun, risks, and fights to continue. Hello again, everybody. You're very welcome here. Jeremy, 2 weeks ago we saw a battleground again with sports car racing at Laguna Seca. Now the drivers, as this war zone has developed, have been told at Laguna that they're going to have sanctions against them for rough driving. Laguna was worse than ever.
Yeah, we saw a lot of rough driving at Petit Le Mans. It got worse at Laguna Seca. So the fist came down from the sanctioning body. We're going to do something about this. And in fact, they did penalize Jan Magnussen with a stop and go. But most of the penalties were assessed post-race. There were 4 financial penalties handed out. And what the drivers are saying is this doesn't matter. We need points taken away. We need positions taken away.
Now, Jeremy, a lot of people think this is great entertaining sports car racing, but now, does the sanctioning body, Jeremy, have a problem here? Do they need to wield a big stick to grab a hold of this?
Derek, they absolutely do, because they've said we're going to get it under control, and they haven't done that. And if they don't deal with it, they are going to lose credibility with the race teams, and they're going to lose credibility with the drivers.
Now, a driver who really had a point of view, made it known to everybody at Laguna Seca, is standing by with the third member of our broadcast team this afternoon, Calvin Fish. Calvin?
Thanks, Derek. And as Jeremy mentioned, it's very important for the series to get the credibility back from the drivers. And one driver who's very outspoken in the last round was, of course, Shane Lewis. Shane, do you think that the fines that they've levied on the drivers and the probation that they've put on some of them will really be a deterrent to clean things up in the series?
Well, Calvin, I certainly hope so. You hate to see it come to this where there have to be penalties and fines, but I thought it was very necessary for me to speak up at the last race in the interest of safety for all the competitors.
Well, hopefully the configuration of this Las Vegas racetrack will be a little better for the drivers. There's certainly not the twists and turns of Laguna and Road Atlanta.
Well, indeed, it is an interesting configuration known as a Roval. Let's have a look at our Audi track maps, Jeremy.
Well, and this is a unique racetrack, as you say, Derek. A fairly long straightaway, but you transition up onto the banking out of the last corner. Very tight down into turn 1. There's going to be a lot of action down there in that chicane. Of course, turn 5, very tight, one of the key passing zones. Not a lot of passing between the cars, between 5 and 6 in the infield, but most of it back out on the banking. But again, so many different levels of speed here with the 3 different classes of cars, and we're going to see a lot of passing amongst the classes, and that's going to be key, and that is what has been key with this championship in the last 2 races.
Let's go immediately to our Dodge starting grid. And there's the Audi freight train again. Alan McNish beside Frank Biela, Audi 1-2 in the front row. Move back to the second row. Jan Magnussen will join with David Brabham with the Panoz. Beside him will be JJ Leto. Then in row 3, O'Connell and Cato. Beside him, Mimo Scatarella and De Radiguez. Move back to row 4. Gounon will start the BMW prototype. Beside him is Guy Smith and the Reynard. Then it's Field and Sutherland beside Conrad and Slater. As you look at the rest of the grid here, Jeremy, one of the problems we have facing us here is the potential for rain.
And it did rain here on Friday, Derek, and many of the teams did run in the rain. One of the few that didn't was the Corvette team, and we'll see if that comes to bite them. But of course, the Vipers and the Corvettes, the big story in GTS. The Viper on the pole, they're 11th overall. And of course, the big story in GT is the fight between the Porsches and the BMWs, and the Porsche is the quickest, 18th overall.
As you look down through the rest of the grid there, let's go to our onboard cameras, and we have plenty for them again. Plenty for you this weekend. Number 7 BMW is the number 7 car. Boris and Hans Stuck, they will start 5th in class. The number 5 Porsche GT car is next. This is Mueller and Lucas Luhr. They will start 1st in class. This is one of Dick Barber's cars. The GTS. Now there's our points actually for the GT Drivers' Championship. Now this has been a great fight. Look at all these Porsche drivers here in the GT Championship. It is doubtful this class will be actually decided before they go to Adelaide at the end of the season. Let's go to our onboard camera with the Corvette GTS, the number 3 car. Ron Fellows and Andy Pilgrim will start 4th in class. Move up to the Viper, the number 92 car. Tommy Archer, there is Tommy with David Donahue. Let's have a look at our GTS points. There is the Viper, 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 Viper. All Vipers until you get down to Vic Rice. 10 of 12 rounds gone. Let's look at our number 43 BMW. Was to start 7th on the grid, got moved to the back of the P grid because Gunan and Oberlin decided to change tires. So not too much of a penalty then. We're up to the front of the Audi. The number 78 car, Bila and Piro, starts 2nd right beside his team leader, Alec McNish, right ahead of him. And Jeremy, there's our prototype driver points after 10 or 12 rounds.
And of course, Alan McNish has been the dominant driver this year. They have had some slip-ups. They have not won every race, but certainly they have been very, very strong.
And the 4th member of our broadcast crew this afternoon is Dorsey Schrader. Dorsey?
Guys, I'm down here with Doug Feenhan. He's the Corvette team manager, and you're not bringing the Corvettes to Adelaide, so this is the last chance you have at beating the Vipers.
That's correct, Doris. This is our last opportunity to put a little whooping on them and to make that just a little more exciting, why they've brought in a reasonably quick FIA model of Viper, so it's going to be an exciting race for us.
Okay, guys in the booth, watch for that race.
Oh, look at the green flag, and immediately the number 1 Panoz tries to take the lead from McNish, and he does squeeze down to the inside.
And I cannot believe the green flag even came out. That was the most disorganized start. There is the BMW of Leto. He is forced off the racetrack at that first chicane. Very, very tight down there.
I didn't think you could lead when you come across the start-finish line until you get the green flag, but the Panoz clearly, we're going to have another look at that later on, but the Panoz car, the number 1 Panoz car, slices past the Audi. We're in trouble here.
This is on board the number 43 car. That was the Olive Garden Lola, and there's a car off the racetrack. That is one of the Panoz cars. I think it's number 2, Johnny O'Connell. Yes, it is. So that is Johnny O'Connell in the number 2 Panoz.
Teamed with Kato in that car. You see Oberlin right behind him, or Gunan right behind him. But look at the lead that Magnussen had. This early in the race to pull out that much of a lead. These boys at Panoz believed they should have won at Laguna Seca until they had engine troubles. Well, now they have a golden opportunity here. But I really want to see a replay of that start.
And believe it or not, Laguna and this racetrack not that dissimilar in that they're very low grip racetracks with a lot of fairly slow corners. We're going to have a look again at that start. Look at the lead that Magnussen has developed.
Now the 2 Audis can control the field here.
And you can see pretty much as soon as the pace car ducks out.
Now what's the start-finish line? Who leads across the start-finish line?
Well, there's no question, it's Magnussen. And that technically should be a jump start.
I think it is. I think the pole man has the right to lead across the start-finish line and control the pace of that start. Boy, were those turbo cars just lazy, Jeremy?
I think that, I mean, they all did go, but I think that certainly Magnussen went a little bit early, but he should have been a bit more disciplined than that, no question about it.
Jeremy on board now with Frank Bila. Golden opportunity to stay on board here and to go around this infield and all around the banking of this track here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
And Bila on that last lap was shown in 7th. So from the outside of the front row, starting 2nd, right now shown in 7th. Those are the shift lights on the dashboard there. That indicates the RPM. And as the RPM comes up, he gets closer to his shift point. Of course, these cars do shift from the paddle on the steering wheel. He runs down the apron. Some of these guys have been running up on the banking, some on the apron. They'll all go back up onto the banking for the braking for the chicane down at turn 1.
Let's take a look at our onboard telemetry. Now watch the speed, bottom left of your picture. You see how they accelerate so fast from below 100 miles an hour on the short back straight almost 170 miles an hour. It's above 190 miles an hour, believe it or not, down the front straight. So that's Biela right behind Gounon, who's chasing Johnny O'Connell, the Panoz car. Gounon over the curbs. But that was a most unusual start. The Audis definitely were slow away, but I can't help feel that'll be controversial. Calvin?
Well, Derek, I just spoke to Reinhold Jost. I said, what did you think at the start? He said, well, it was a little early, eh? And just got a big smile. I said, are you concerned? He said, there's a long way to go yet.
Oh, there is a long way to go. Here is the Panoz leading as they believe they should have been able to do it. Laguna Seca, can they take the fight to these dominant Audis with 2 more races in the season to go? We go from here to Adelaide, Australia.
Speed Vision's coverage of the American Le Mans Series is presented by Dodge. In a perfect world, everything would be different. And brought to you by Pirelli and your local Pirelli retailer.
Have a look at this here. In just a few short laps, Alan McNish is all over the back of Jan Magnussen in the Panoz. They are in traffic already. And Reinhold Jost just said to Calvin Fisher, it's a long way. Man, it didn't take him long to catch him.
And I was really amazed at the casual attitude of Reinhold Jost in that situation. But he knows he's got the best man here. He's got Alan McNish on board that number 77 car. And look at the traffic already. And this is where Jan Magnussen has to just thread the needle. He has to create opportunities for himself to get through this traffic.
And he remembers what happened at Laguna. He was the only one that got a stop-and-go penalty for clipping the back of a GT car at the corkscrew, and there's a huge traffic jam here. What did McNish say earlier, Jeremy?
Well, he was, look at that, almost contact with the Audi. Remember that Audi at Laguna got spun, and that was one of the penalties. Gounon in the BMW took McNish off the racetrack, and McNish actually spun, hit the wall, went on to win the race. That car just incredibly tough. But Alan McNish said after qualifying, he said, listen, there are GTS cars on the racetrack, there are GT cars on the racetrack. It's everybody's responsibility. We cannot go around driving these cars off the racetrack. It's not legitimate.
Fastest lap, even after 6 laps, is McNish at an 8.2, 1 minute 8.2. That is a full half a second clear of the Panoz. But the traffic jam here is enormous, as it has been all season long here. So you have to race, and you also have to be so careful. The Olive Garden car is in the middle of this bunch here. That is Johnny O'Connell right ahead.
We're on board with the number 43 BMW. This car sits 6th right now, about 6.8 seconds out of the lead, but there's a real group of prototypes here. You see up at the front of this line is the 42 BMW, then the Olive Garden, they're forcing their way through, Derek, and the Olive Garden car, and of course Johnny O'Connell right in front. And these guys, they can't afford, if one car goes through, the rest of them have to go through or else they'll lose touch.
Yes, I've seen tire smoke now at least 2 times from Johnny O'Connell, so he stands that Panoz on its nose, locking up some of those front wheels. O'Connell chasing the Olive Garden low. O'Connell stays low. Low is O'Connell. And you can see the BMW stays much higher on the banking. And again, they're in a traffic jam. Oh, it's risky. One BM moves over for the other one. Gounon got himself in all sorts of trouble at Laguna. Remember, Alan McNish said he'd be embarrassed if he drove like Gounon did at Laguna. Strong words.
So here comes Magnussen again into heavy traffic. 4 cars, 3 GT cars, and there are only 2 of these cars in the field, the light prototype cars, that yellow car, which actually just dropped a wheel. And Magnussen now just completely tucked up under the diffuser, the rear wing. Excuse me, McNish tucked up under the rear wing of Magnussen.
Left-hander. There's the GT battle right ahead of him. GT battle, that's Alex Job's car moves out of the way, as does Dick Barber's car. Remember Dick Barber's car on board here with the number 5 car. They were hit 11 times in 4 races during a stretch this year. We have a flat tire, I believe, on one of the Panoz cars. Is it O'Connell?
That is the number 2 car. That
left
is O'Connell.
rear. He's in trouble. He is in trouble. The left rear looks as if it's gone down. That's maybe why we saw so much tire smoke from Johnny O'Connell. So Johnny O'Connell limps the Panoz. After only 8 laps, he is forced to make a pit stop. Dorsey, can you see anything? Any damage?
Johnny O'Connell's brought in no damage I can see, Derek. Left rear is definitely flat, no question about it. He's got one headlight not working. They're taking this time to fuel the car, and they've got all 4 tires. They're not going to change this that flat left rear. They're going for all. Now the right front tire sitting there, left front is on. Left rear is on. And as they go to the outside tires, Johnny looks pretty cool. The car has no marks from other cars on it, not at least to the left side of the car. I can't quite see the right. But this pit stop goes pretty smoothly. Little trouble on the outside rear, the right rear, all clear.
Obviously damage on the right front of the Raffinelli car here. That is the bodywork rubbing against the tire, Jeremy, I believe.
Well, and it would not be hard to believe that it was the right front of that Zero car that came together with the left rear on O'Connell's car. We didn't see it, but again, it wouldn't be hard to believe. Now, with that right front rubbing that way, that is the last thing you want to have happen, is have that right front go down up on the banking. These guys probably need to get that car in because they're really rolling the dice with that car right now.
Mimo Schiatarella behind the wheel of the Olive Garden Lola. He, I'm sure, is on his way to the pits unless that piece of bodywork breaks off. But Johnny O'Connell looked a bit furious with himself, having had to make that early stop. We're back, and here's the storyline. This is what happened to Johnny O'Connell.
And this is down into turn 5, the braking zone. You can see the Lola on the inside, of course, not up alongside. That is certainly not a completed pass. He gets locked up, and there's the contact right there on the left rear of O'Connell's car. That cuts the tire down and, of course, does the body damage to the Lola.
Now, something else that happened 1 lap earlier. This is the Conrad car.
And that is the number 6 PTG BMW, and they take a quick drive around out in the grass. The number 6 car, I believe, came in. Okay, there is the Lola now in the pit lane.
Dorsey?
Down here, guys, the Olive Garden car, you see it's been brought in. There's the contact damage on the right front. Bad news is it's not superficial like it looks. That part hanging down, that fiberglass part, actually it's carbon fiber, is the under tray. It's a big aerodynamics.
Okay, boys, we had a lead change and then we had contact. Magnus would not let McNish away from it, and he just whacked the back of it.
McNish got the pass done, coming out of the last corner, up on the banking, clearly had the lead. And of course, Magnuson gets in hot and gives him a little tap, and you could just tell he knew he had made a mistake. He knew he had messed up.
We can show you a replay. This is the pass. Now remember, it's the braking zone for the chicane at the end of this front straight.
And you can see McNish goes down to the inside. That's not normally where he would be, but then goes back to the outside, which is his normal braking line. And Magnuson leaves the braking too late. A little bit of a tap. It looks like no damage on the Audi. And here's the other angle. This is the angle from turn 1. There's the tap right there. McNish with the opposite lock immediately, but just can't save it. Of course, he's going about 120 miles an hour at that point. And you can just see there the fact that Magnuson did not accelerate immediately. He knows that was not something that he should have done.
Welcome to the war zone. The leaders in the P class, Magnuson and Alan McNish, get into each other. McNish, neither car obviously made it through the chicane. We don't know what type of damage Magnuson may have or McNish may have. Remember what we saw earlier this year at the Petit Le Mans. There's a bit of damage. The Alex Job Porsche 911. This is the GT battle here. But remember, the vulnerable part of the Audi was the under tray. That's what we followed and documented at the Petit Le Mans earlier. But there's obviously been contact back here too with the number 23 car. Randy Popes is behind the wheel. Oh! Into the grandstand. That may mean,
I'll tell you,
if the rest of this bodywork falls off, Jeremy, he doesn't have to make a pit stop, does he?
No, that would be ideal for them, because what they will want to avoid is getting black flag. Keep in mind, this is the battle. 1, 2, and 3 for GT. These 3 cars all together, of course, the 2 Dick Barber cars and the Alex Job car, and there goes the bodywork. Now, the problem is that may
It hasn't slowed him down.
No, it's great for him. It may necessitate the need for a full course yellow because that bodywork now is laying out in the middle of the racetrack.
And both of Dick Barber's cars now sandwich the Alex Joe car. So Lucas Luhr in the number 5 Dick Barber, Sasha Massa started the number 51 Barber car, and Randy Pope is in that Alex Joe car. There is the debris. It hasn't slowed him down. There's the telltale reason. Right front damaged on the number 5 car. Calvin?
Well, there's a lot of damage down here, Derek, actually on the number 6 car right now. P.D. Cunningham was behind the wheel. He got hit by Conrad and actually bent the tie rod. I have that piece in my hand right now. As you can see, a lot of damage here, so the team is going to work. But it's really a battle between the different classes, Derek. Faster LMP cars and these slower GT cars seems to be the problem.
And in the past, we have documented where the P cars were making contact with the smaller classes. Now they're crashing into each other, trying to win these things.
And we're looking very closely at the back of that Audi for any damage to Alan McNish's Audi. If anyone watched the Petit Le Mans race, you remember the number 78 Audi ran a bulk of that race without its diffuser, which is the under tray under the back of the car, which makes an awful lot of downforce. And so far, this Audi looks okay. Right now, Alan McNish sits 6 seconds behind Jan Magnussen.
Let's go down to Dorsey Schrader with an update on that incident earlier. Dorsey?
Well, Derek, as far as the boxing match goes, this is a draw. I'm taking a look at Franz Conrad sitting right here. His tie rods are bent too, both of them, outside and inside. They're doing a towing adjustment right now to try to get that alignment back in check. But both these cars that hit each other have done exactly the same damage.
Yeah, 2 bent tie rods, one of the BMW, one of that Conrad Lola. The Team Conrad team, by the way, we believe will be running the private Audis next year in Europe. It was thought that some American team may run the private Audis in the American Le Mans next year over here, but we believe now the factory cars that you see now will go to Europe to the Conrad team. And there you see one of the Audis just slide down the inside. Just inside our number 7 BMW. But I believe we are going to have, yes, Magnussen is in the pit lane. He brings the Panoz, the number 1 car, into the pit lane. Our Calvin is right there. Calvin?
Well, he's bringing it in at the 45-mile-an-hour speed. Looks like it should be a stop and go. Yes, it is. There's obviously a penalty for the contact with McNish, and Jan Magnussen stays behind the wheel. He's back down pit lane.
And you can see the damage on the right front of that car, and it hasn't loosened up yet, but there is clear damage on the right front of Jan Magnussen's car. So far, Jan Magnussen, Laguna Seca, and Las Vegas, he is 2 for 2 on the stop-and-go penalties. That is Lane, who is actually not that far behind Alan McNish.
And I will tell you, if you want an opinion as to whether he should have done what he did, it was way too ambitious a move to try and come down the inside of Alan McNish in the Audi at that first chicane, and he paid the price. Welcome back to the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Derek Daly, Jeremy Dale, Calvin Fish and Dorsey Schrader here with you. We are under full course yellow because we had to go out and pick up the debris left behind from Randy Pope's car. Gives us a chance to tell you about our upcoming event, which is live, obviously here also, the BF Goodrich Tires Trans Am Series, the Johnson Controls 100, right here live, 6 p.m. right after this event, and plenty more Corvettes in that event too. Dorsey Schrader will be up here in the booth for that race, but right now he is in the middle of the pits with the European guest.
Tom Coronel, you did a great job in qualifying, got him up to 2nd place, but what's taking your Viper out of the race so early?
Yeah, it looks like a cylinder left us. In the beginning it started to hesitate a little bit, then 7 cylinders, and then even after 6 cylinders. So I had to pit in because the car had no speed anymore.
Tough break, you guys. We're glad to see you here in the series.
All the way from Europe, but we will be back. Thank you.
Guys?
Yeah, teamed with Mike Hazemans, came over with that Viper. Believe it or not, he only qualified that Viper. It's a privately run car, less than 0.2 of a second slower than the Orica factory car. So that was a great effort from Coronel and from Mike Hazemans. So the debris is just about cleared up. Alan McNish, who we did not see any damage on the back of that Audi, continues to lead. So Magnussen catches a break.
Speed Vision's coverage of the American Le Mans Series is brought to you by Toyota. More choices, better selection. Experience Toyota today.
We are back and we are live, and that is Alan McNish. Some people think the greatest sports car driver in the world. There is slight damage. Great pictures here. Very slight damage we see. The diffuser now has been a problem in the past, and I wonder will it be again. Calvin?
Well, Derek, we're down in the Audi pit. They brought out one of these diffusers. Remember at the Petit Le Mans, the problem was the damage was so severe it actually bent one of these pins, so it took them a really long time to get the old one off, and they couldn't replace it with a new one. If there's no problem with the pins, they can change this in a matter of seconds, but right now the team is looking carefully on our monitors to try and assess the damage.
Yeah, he did set a time earlier, half a second clear of the Panoz car. The second of the Audis did a 9.6, so he's considerably slower than the lead car, the Piero Bila car. Frank Bila is in the car, started that car. But Magnussen, we mentioned earlier as we went for break, caught a break here. Remember, he just got the stop and go penalty. He was a long way back, so now it at least gets back some of that track time or track space.
Well, that's just it, Derek. It helps him in terms of track position. There is the number 91 Viper. They are leading in GTS. Ron Fellows in the number 3 Corvette has never been more than 2 or 3 seconds behind this Viper. So the battle continues. Olivier Beretta is on board that car. The battle continues here between the Vipers and the Corvettes.
Meanwhile, the GT boys have all gone to the pit lane. Calvin?
Like a NASCAR event, Derek, once the leader came in, everyone came in from the GT category, taking advantage. They're about 30 minutes in. Some damage to the number 5 machine, as you can see. And I believe it's the third wheel of a wall. And the Dick Barber team is working on the number 51 car at the same time.
And that repair that we saw on the number 5 car, remember what caused that? He did crash into the back of the Joe cars. We see the number 51 car leave. But Lucas Luhr made contact with Randy Pope, and that caused that damage. Although Randy Pope's without that rear body clip, it didn't seem to slow him down that much. On board now with Lucas Luhr on the number 5, started first in class. Although this is a privately run team, Jeremy, we know that this is part of Porsche's junior team, driver development, let's say.
And these young guys have been very, very impressive. Of course, Bob Wallach, the elder statesman on this Barber team, and you know, the younger guys have been quicker. Here is the 23 car. This is the Alex Job car that and you can see these guys are doing some serious work. Calvin, you down there?
Well, there's some damage to the rear end, but the bigger problem is internally with the gearbox, Jeremy. It's stuck in gear. They had that problem at the Petit. It's reoccurred, and these guys are in the thick of the championship battle. Randy Popes is really in with a shot of the championship, but right now it's not looking good for him as the team goes to work.
Yeah, Randy Popes was only 10 points out of the lead in the Drivers' GT Championship. Now, you have to drop your worst 2 scores in the series as the season goes on. But Sasha Masson was leading with 192 points, and Popes had 182, and Lambert 180. So this is a major blow to these boys as we go back to green. And that is J.J. Leto now, who chases down Alan McNish down this front straight into this hairpin, or chicane.
And on board the 78 car, this car was down as far as 8th. Remember, it started outside of the front row, dropped as low as 8th position, now back up into 3rd, and of course the 2 Audis with the BMW in the middle. And the BMWs this year have not been as quick as the Audis. They've stayed in the thick of the points championship with good, well-run races, good strategy, but they have never been as quick as these Audis.
But Sherman in the tank leads the BMW. You just cannot stop this Audi.
And that was one of the Corvettes off the road. That was 2nd place. I believe that's Ron Fellows.
Yeah, Fellows started 4th in class. Got himself in trouble. Andy Pilgrim, the 2 quickest guys in this Corvette team, are paired in this car. Let's have a look at a replay.
Down into turn 5, he goes up the inside. That's for the lead in GTS, but he gets locked up. And it's the old pass repass, and the 2 Vipers there together.
Yeah.
And hopefully Ron Fellows hasn't done any damage to the under tray on that car going through that little gravel trap there. I'm not even sure why that gravel trap is there, but
outbraked himself. Down the inside, you just cannot turn in when you tighten the apex to that extent. Now, we also hear the number 5 Porsche GT may have a stop and go for that contact earlier with Randy Post.
So the officials now asserting themselves here.
Is this Shane Lewis?
As they've already done with Jan Magnussen. Right now we're on board the number 92 Viper. So these are the Team Orica cars.
We got Shane Lewis in trouble. Shane Lewis in the Aspen Knowles car. I don't know whether this team could have any more bad luck. Bob Mazzucola put this team together. Just had a stop and go here, Jeremy, the number 5 car.
So the 5 cars come in, serve their stop and go. So as I said earlier, the officials now definitely asserting themselves here. They've stopped the 5 car, they stopped Magnussen, and they are sending the message loud and clear. If you guys want to get up to no good, we're going to deal with it.
And Jeremy, what that has now done is elevated the number 51 car, the sister Dick Barber car to this, to the lead of the GT Championship, or the GT class in the race right now. And Sasha Masson, remember, who's in that car, already leads that Drivers' Championship. But here is a humdinger. How many times have we seen these red and white Vipers run one behind the other, or 1, 2, 3 behind the other? If you go to the Le Mans 24-hour race, these boys, they will not run these factory cars next year. They're going to take a year off, develop a prototype, then come back a year later with some more Vipers. Battle for 4th here.
So this is Magnussen now trying to make his way back up towards the front. That is the number 43, Gunan, in that BMW, and Magnussen has been putting a bunch of pressure on him this last lap or so.
And Magnussen is on a charge here. He does not like to stay behind cars that he's a little bit faster than. Very often, Johnny O'Connell made it easy for him, moved over, let him by. Oh, here's more power. Look at this. Down the inside, Magnussen thought he had the run. He came down the inside. He is quicker. He is quicker down this back straight, or front straight. What about the brake zone? He got in trouble before. Oh, he slides across his nose.
What a beautiful pass there by Jan Magnussen.
Man, Gunan had no option but to simply let him go. So Magnussen now is in 4th place. We are back and we have another good one. This is the action. Quick recap. Conrad and Cunningham in the Lola and the BMW get together. Jeremy, then the damage to O'Connell.
And this was O'Connell. And this cut the tire on O'Connell's car, and he has lost a lap because of it. This was McNish, goes around Magnussen. Magnussen says, I don't think so. Pops him, but Magnussen gets the stop and go for it. And this was Ron Fellows on the restart down into turn 5. And he went through the gravel trap, and he now sits about 6 seconds behind those Vipers.
On board now with Frank Biela. He runs in 2nd place. Magnussen is the fastest car on the racetrack at the moment, making up time from the stop and go he got from the drop kick that he gave Alan McNish down at that first chicane. So Magnussen is closing in on Frank Biela.
Well, Magnussen, as a matter of fact, right behind this car. There he is right there. So that's about 3 or 4 tenths of a second back is Magnussen right now.
Now, we saw the Aspen Knowles car disappear earlier on with Shane Lewis. Let's just get down and get a quick update from Dorsey with Mike Colucci.
Mike, we saw your Aspen Knowles car parked on the side of the road, and Shane Lewis got out. What's gone wrong?
Well, we don't really know for sure. Shane radioed in that lost power and made a big noise, and oil pressure light came on. So my guess is she just went ahead on and blowed up.
You guys have had a couple of races here.
Boy, I'll say, if it wasn't for bad luck, we wouldn't have any luck at all.
Well, guys, she blowed up.
Yeah, she did. Mike Colucci does such a good job. Has a great history with Porsches, 956s in the old days, then sets up his own team. Man, they do development on that car, run an aerodynamic package at Petit Le Mans that they didn't quite like, but they have had no look that is good at all year. On board now with our number 7 car. The number 7 car, Boris Said, behind the wheel. Boris Said has competed in about 19 events this weekend alone.
Yeah, Boris has been one busy guy, no question about it. Now, here is the run out onto the front straightaway for this BMW. You see top speed in the lower left corner there.
And see how violent it is when you just move up onto that banking, particularly when you have to move over for the P cars.
And that was the battle there, Gunan and O'Connell. Gunan trying to get a lap back, and he does around the outside of Gunan. So O'Connell has got a lot of work to do because he is a lap down to the other prototypes because of that tire change and that incident with the Lola.
Johnny O'Connell needs a yellow. He needs a yellow to try and get on back on this lap and to get track position back, but he is fast. He is fast now that he's got himself back with 4 good wheels and tires.
And Derek, I think I saw just a flash there of Jan Magnussen in front of the number 78 Audi. Here's what these guys have to deal with in terms of traffic. This is a perfect example. Look at the extent to which they get held up through that long complex there. And they can sprint around these guys down this straightaway, but they get to the braking zone and they pretty much just have to dive in and hope that the guy sees them. There is Magnussen, there's the Audi. So yes, Jan Magnussen, in fact, has gone around the number 78 Audi.
He is on a tear here now. He's going to run down JJ Leto in the leading BMW, the number 42 car, and he is only about 2 seconds behind Alan McNish, the leader. So Magnussen is going to make a real fight of this whole thing very, very shortly. Spinning down the chicane, another one. This is the Nighthawk Racing. Mel Hawkins started this car. Stephen Knight runs with him. Nighthawk Racing. This is one of the smaller 675 cars.
These cars, of course, they are prototypes, but they're much lighter, less powerful than the large prototype cars.
Yep.
And it is a class that is going to grow. Hopefully, here is a replay, and it looks like, see, and there's the other light car in front of him. He gets in too hot, gets first the left rear locked up, then the left front locked up, and pretty much spins all on his own. There's O'Connell slides through. There is Gunan.
So Mel Hawkins gets himself on television. Those boys want to race a full season next year, moved up from the FF2000 City League, I believe. But McNish is hanging on here. Now we know there's damage. We don't know how much. Best lap still 8.2, but he is running in the 10s at about a 10.6. And Magnussen and Leto on the last lap pulled half a second on Alan McNish. So these Audi boys, even though it's dry, they appear to have a real fight on their hands with the BMW and the Panoz beginning to close in.
And this was a racetrack that I definitely felt the Panoz would have a good shot at. Remember, I said I feel this racetrack is not dissimilar to Laguna Seca in the sense that this infield section especially is not unlike Laguna. It's fairly slick racetrack. There, the BMW getting a big slide there. And the Panoz were so strong at Laguna.
And of course, tires make such a big difference here sometimes. And with an update on the Panoz tire situation, Calvin?
Well, Derek, what we've found this year is that the Panoz has a very small window where their car seems to work on the Michelin tires. They like track temperatures of about 70 to 80 degrees. And when they saw the cooler conditions today, there were some smiles on the crew faces, and certainly Magnus is on a charge right now as he attempts to take the position from Leto going into 1.
Oh, big risk in the brake zone. Can he make it through? Just about makes it through before he clips the curbs and goes with the lawnmower.
What a great move by Magnussen. Of course, they split the Corvette. Leto goes left, Magnussen goes right, and then he thrusts down to the inside and makes the move incredibly assertive on the brakes down into turn 1.
And that was Frank Biela that then made its way past the Corvette. But Magnussen, the brakes on this Panoz seem to be pretty incredible here this afternoon. Let's have a look at the replay of that pass, because that was very good in the brake zone, Jeremy.
Now watch, he goes high because he doesn't know exactly where the Corvette's going to go. He doesn't want to get caught between the banking and the apron, but then he says, hey, if I'm going to make this move, I need to go to the inside, and he's probably quite aware that Leto doesn't know exactly where he is. What a move.
And that is exactly what he tried to pull off on Alan McNish. He didn't manage it there, he hit him, but he's clean past the BMW. We'll be back. We are back with another incident. This is Brian Cunningham, who makes contact with Kurt Wagner. BMW bangs off the side of a Porsche 911. We've never seen that before.
Well, they don't want to be left out.
Let's go on board with number 7. Still Borisset behind the wheel. Oh, see how violent that He goes up first, then he comes back to the apron.
Well, of course, a much shorter distance around the apron, but then you've got to make that transition again for the braking zone. So you've got a nice wide line, nice big radius to turn into the first part of that chicane.
He is shown in 22nd position overall. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th in class. So this is not a good weekend for this BMW. This car really shines when you have to have a lot of braking and a lot of corners. You need a lot of high speed and power. The Porsche 911 still is way dominant over that 3 Series BMW.
Well, remember that M3 in the first year of its development, there is one of the prototypes, one of the lights cars, I believe, the number 13 Nighthawk racing car off down at turn 5. The M3, of course, in its first year of development, and they will get that car right, and the battle will continue. There is Magnussen. He sits in second place right now, about 5.5 seconds behind Alan McNish. He's closed that gap up by about 1.5 seconds.
And he is running laps between 0.5 and 0.8 of a second faster than Alan McNish.
And of course, Derek, that can all change in traffic. One wrong move in traffic, and you can lose 2 seconds in one lap.
But I tell you what, Magnussen is taking the fight all the way. It's going to be pretty soon when we're going to see those cars all in the same picture. Magnussen on a charge. Remember, he led earlier. Then he got caught in traffic. Then he drop-kicked Alan McNish in the Audi. Got a stop-and-go penalty. Got a yellow flag, which allowed him to make up the track position. And now has come on a charge from 8th place all the way up to 2nd as we go on board with the number 78 car. It is in 4th place. That is Frank Biela. Remember, started 2nd on the front row of the grid. Has not been spectacular. See the BM weave in front of him there.
That is the 3rd place BMW in front of him, number 42, JJ Leto, rolling up behind a couple of GT cars here. And this is critical. If you get caught behind these guys, you will lose time. You can see he ducks in there. And this is dodgy. If you're Frank Biela, you can see he puts half the car up on the curb just to make sure he's given some room. There's a little gesture there.
You know, I think he hit him. I think he touched him. You saw his helmet shake, and then he shook his fist. He didn't lose much time to JJ Leto.
Derek, I think his helmet was shaking because he put so much of the car up on the curb. I mean, he may have hit him. Of course, we've already seen that it doesn't matter. Whatever you want to do with these Audis, you can hit all sorts of stuff. They don't seem to be affected by that. But that was the situation where Biela had to get past that BMW or he was going to be dead.
Quick update on Randy Pope's car. He is back out. They are 9 laps down. That car was stuck in gear, but they did get it running again.
So that obviously going to hurt their championship chances. And Leto got a little bit hung up in traffic there, and Biela much closer now.
Oh, this is the Sutherland field. Lola now moves over. Let the 2 quicker boys just get along. This is the kink, infield left-hander. Now it's the double right-hander, triple right-hander. Little kink there. Long right-hander here. Drift, back in. And then this is a very short infield straight.
Hard braking zone down here, and then this right-hander, you've got to compromise this corner a little bit, otherwise you're not well positioned for this left-hander, which of course, one of the most important corners on the racetrack because in essence it leads on to this very long front straightaway.
And this has been a tire battle all season long between the major manufacturers. Audi, of course, on Michelin tires. Let's go down to Calvin with a bit more on that story.
Well, Derek, a lot of the teams are gearing up for pit stops. Here in the Audi pits, they have 20 sets of tires for 2 cars. Now, we see some scrubs here. They've been running practice and qualifying. You got the sticker tires, but more importantly, look at this, full wets and intermediates. There is a chance of rain before this event is over.
Oh, we were told about 15 minutes before we came on the air that there was a storm front on its way here. I want to give you an update here on the number 52 car. This is Christophe Bouchou. He has come from Europe to run in the Sequel Motorsports car because he is chasing the Porsche Cup for privateers. So Bouchou makes his way slowly into the pit lane, but Bouchou is running second to Mike Fitzgerald in the privateer class. They will be awarded as much as $35,000 for the privateer team who wins the Porsche Cup. That is why they have brought Christophe Bouchou over from Europe to stick him in this car. And I hope he gets a good run, because Mike Fitzgerald earlier this afternoon did not score any more points. We'll be back. Welcome back to the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. This is the Grand Prix of Las Vegas. It's a 2-hour, 45-minute event here for the American Le Mans Series. And as this event unfolds here, it's just like every other race this year. Interesting incidents. Big cars hit small cars. This time we had big cars hit big cars when we saw a lead change through an incident with Jan Magnussen and the Audi driven by Alan McNish. That is Frank Biela, who is currently in 4th place. Frank has basically behaved himself, hasn't done anything spectacular, stayed out of the way. Leto is ahead of him. Jan Magnussen is still reeling in Alan McNish. He is still running about a half a second a lap quicker. Johnny O'Connell, as you see here, is running in 7th place. We saw him make an early pit stop from contact earlier. Guy Smith and Stefan Johansson is in 6th place. They are ahead of Johnny O'Connell. O'Connell is still a lap down. That is his big problem. He needs a yellow to get back to track position. He lost with that slow lap when he got a puncture.
He's been running laps at a reasonable speed here, not as quick as Magnus, but you can see he's staying in touch with this BMW and with this number 78 Audi.
We also have a special guest in our booth here. He is the man somewhat responsible for giving us all a lot of entertainment this year. He is the VP of Audi North America, Mr. Len Hunt. Len, great to have you here again.
Great to be here, Derek.
We have watched these Audis all season long here now, Len. And the most amazing thing is that they can hit people, people can hit them, and it still doesn't seem to affect them.
In fact, you're beginning to directly affect our marketing, Derek, because we've started to adopt this title, the Freight Train. And it really does seem that, particularly at Laguna Seca, where the onboard camera saw Alan go into the wall. We all thought that's it, and then suddenly puts it in a gear and flies back round, and there's a lovely win.
Does that mean I get paid now for the part of the commercials?
It could be.
It could be, yeah. Get the contract. But Len, you are responsible. You made the decision to put the budget up to bring the Audi cars over here for the American Le Mans Series.
Yeah.
And that is what, part of your ongoing promotion of Audi, of the vehicle?
That's right. As we see Audi coming back to strength in North America, one of the things that we know about Audi's history, as you know, is that we've had tremendous history in motorsports. And so for us to take the opportunity of joining with our good friends in Germany to run this race, this series is just terrific.
Now, you obviously saw earlier on what happened with Alan McNish when he got drop kicked by the Panoz. He's right behind him again. He's running about half a second a lap faster. So, do you get nervous?
Do I get nervous? I mean, the Panoz have been running well all year, and it's a very tight contest, this, and I'm glad the organisers did as they did and got the stop go. But the Panoz is going very well. I'm sure Alan's seen him now, but as we come in here, we see him literally.
Look at this. He waves. He waves to him. Go down the inside. He said, "This is not a straight fight. I'm quite happy to let you move away."
Absolutely.
What a smart move, Jeremy, by Alan McNish.
Well, I think that's a big picture issue. I think that Alan McNish knows Jan Magnussen is not in this championship. He's obviously in a very aggressive mood today and has already had McNish off the road once. McNish, of course, thinking championship and not thinking just about one race win. But I'm still very surprised that he didn't really challenge him at all.
Didn't challenge at all. Remember, in the Drivers' Championship, McNish leads at 237 points. Capello, his own teammate, has 227 points. Here's another little incident earlier on.
And look at Magnussen looking over to the right. He's not even looking where he's supposed to go. It's like, hey.
That's actually with Johnny O'Connell.
I'm sorry, that's O'Connell, yes.
Waves to him. Thank you very much. And then Magnussen comes in. You know what? I wouldn't mind betting Alan McNish knew that Magnussen was on his way to the pit lane. So the leading Payne is the fastest car on the racetrack at the moment. Not the fastest car overall. That is still McNish. But Magnussen brings it in. Dorsey?
He is indeed, Derek, and he's sitting in the car. There will be no driver's change. They're putting the fuel in right now, and they can't touch the car until that is done. Magnussen just sits there. He's getting a time to take a drink out of the bottle while he's down here. These pit stops seem awfully long when you're a driver, I can tell you that. Sitting there, you want to get back on the track right away, and you can't do anything to this car until the fueling's over. Of course, when that happens, you're going to see a lot of activity. They've got 4 tires ready, I believe, to put on the car, and we're waiting for that to happen right now. Fueling is just now. No tires. He drag races right on out of here.
Wow, they must be very confident. There's a little bit of damage that we talked about. That's the damage from the pop on Alan McNish, and it doesn't look like it's done anything too serious with that car. Calvin, you got more?
Just an update on the Panoz. I'm standing here in the Audi pit, and Reinhold Jost was looking at his watch, and he smiled and nodded his head, meaning that they're going to be really tight, Jeremy, and making this on one more stop. He thinks they're a lap or two early in being able to make this a two-stop race.
Yeah, 2 stops in 2 hours and 45 minutes. That is a stretch.
Key to that pit stop, of course, is the fact that he did not change tires. They've got to be very, very confident with the tire on that Panoz that they can run a second set and continue with the good lap times that Magnussen has been running, because he's been running very strong, very aggressively, and not in any way taking it easy on those tires.
And remember now, Alan McNish, as we look on the racetrack, is now almost a full lap ahead of Jan Magnussen because of that pit stop from Magnussen. So we will watch with interest on the pit stop for Alan McNish, because we want to have a good close look at the back of that Audi to see, is there damage on that car? Welcome back. We are live at the Grand Prix of Las Vegas. McNish, some people think the best sports car driver in the world at the moment, still leads. His teammate Frank Biela comes in. Frank Biela comes in from 3rd place. There's the GTS leader right in front of him. Calvin?
Going to be a driver change here. Wendlinger has jumped in. Beretta has got out from behind the wheel. Looks like routine. A lot of smoke coming from the front brakes. And other than that, I see no damage on this GTS machine. And right behind him, the 78 car is in. That's the Biela car. And he's pitted 1 lap earlier than McNish. He's staying in the car. We thought Pirro was going to be jumping in. They get the thumbs up on tires. It's going to be fuel only. This car is currently running 3rd.
And guys, if the Beretta, if the Orca guys decide to change tires, yes, this is going to be a problem for the Audi. They're going to lose time here because they can't get out of their pit stall cleanly with that Viper changing tires. It looks like he stalled it, but of course these cars designed to refire quite easily under the circumstances. So the 78 car loses a little bit of time due to the number 91 pit stop.
That has been one of the advantages as we watch the number 91 Viper lead. One of the advantages of the Audi this year is they can do double stints on those tires and not lose any time at all. And both Corvettes are in at the same time.
And this is on board the number 4 car, excuse me, the number 3 car. There's the 4 car up ahead, and one of the BMWs in as well, Dorsey.
JJ Leto has brought the 42 in, guys, and he is not going to do a driver change. He also takes on some water. He's done with that, waiting for the fuel. They have 4 tires ready to go on, but so did Panoz, as you saw. He didn't take any when Magnussen came in, so we'll see what happens, if that set precedent or not. In the meantime, these guys taking fuel. Everything on this car looks pretty good. Doesn't look like any body damage, and that's pretty rare in these days, I would say. Leto waits cautiously. Here we go. Fuel's done. And no tires. Another thing.
Now the surface, Jeremy, here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway is a very non-abrasive surface. So obviously being friendly to these tires in general, BMW and Audi don't make us change.
But interesting, the Corvettes and the Vipers did change tires. And I think the fact that Magnussen came in and did not change, whether you wanted to or not, your hand is pretty much forced at that point to not change tires, because you're going to lose so much track position to the first guy that stopped, which was Magnussen.
Now JJ Leto was in 3rd place when he came in. His teammate Gunan got himself in all sorts of trouble here. This is a strange spin because look, looks like rear brakes, Jeremy. Watch.
Well, I think at that point he's trying to decide, am I going to go for this car or am I not going to go for this car? And I think he tried to bail out a little bit late, and you're right, Derek. He got either a little bit of rear brake lockup or he downshifted a little bit early, and that kind of unloads and locks the rears, and that's why that car spun.
Remember all the trouble Gunan got into at Laguna. He drop-kicked Alan McNish right into the wall and was criticized heavily for it. Alex Job's number 23 car in trouble again. Remember, it got stuck in gear earlier on. 9 laps they lost. They did come back out, but they are well and truly off the pace and out of it. The leader's in. Alan McNish brings it in. This is critical because we're going to watch where McNish is on the racetrack as soon as Alan McNish comes out. Calvin?
We're down here in the McNish pit, and we expect what you normally see is when the driver stays in, they will not change tires, just in case the driver change goes bad. That's normally when they do the driver change. We come around at the rear end of the Audi. Look at that rear diffuser. Quite a bit of damage there over to the left corner, but it's really in good shape. I don't see any pins broken. It doesn't look like it's going to collapse completely, so he's probably just suffering a little bit in terms of downforce, but not too bad. But something is up here today, because that Panoz is definitely running a little quicker than McNish today.
Okay, but now the key is, where is Magnus? And we're going to watch where he is when McNish comes out of this pits. That is the key. You lose almost a lap when you stop. Magnussen was ahead of McNish before he came in for his pit stop.
And McNish has stalled. McNish has stalled in the pit lane, trying to get it refired. He's got it refired now.
And there is the Panoz. Look at this, coming onto the banking. This is a drag race down the front straight.
Well, Derek, it's not even going to be close because McNish has a very long run down the pit lane.
Yes. Left of your screen, there is Magnussen in the Panoz, and Alan McNish is not at the end of the pit lane yet. That stall cost him dearly.
I think it did, Derek, because I think he would have been close. He might not have beat him out, but certainly he would have been close. Now has finally come out onto the racetrack, so that stall cost him 5 or 6 seconds.
Now, Jeremy, when we watch Frank Biela come out, he also stalled. Do you think they stalled on the start? Is that what caused the bog down?
I don't think so. I mean, I think part of the problem is that you've got these guys are parked. They're pitted on a concrete pad, which has a lot of grip. And remember, they're not changing tires, so those tires are still warm. It's not like you're putting sticker tires on, where literally all you have to do is drop the clutch and you spin them and you go. So you get more bite than you probably want on that concrete pad.
So now the fight starts again for Alan McNish. He has to run down Jan Magnussen. Remember, these boys at Panoz believe they should have won Laguna. Whoa! We're off the road with a BMW. That was a replay earlier on.
The American Le Mans Series is brought to you by BMW, the ultimate driving machine.
Johnny O'Connell has come to a stop here in his pit lane. There is going to be a driver change as Cato is getting belted in, fuel going in the car. Now I got a better chance to take a look at this car. You know, it's not in too bad a shape, still okay. A lot of brake smoke coming out of it as they try to belt Cato into the car. All things going well here.
The number 91 car is in. He is second in the GTS category, Calvin.
Well, it's actually the 92 car, Derek, driven by Tommy Archer. He jumps out. David Donahue, the two Americans working well together. They took the lead after the last batch of pit stops with the Vets and the 91 machine. So this car is certainly stretching their mileage a little bit better, and that can work to their favor if we get some caution period towards the end of this one. They're waiting for the fuel. Looks like they're going to go to tires as well, just as we saw on the 91 car. So they're in a heated battle here with the Vets. They're on Goodyears, and these Michelin seem to be working here very well at Las Vegas.
Yeah, the 92 car is in fact leading that GTS category. The GT category still led by Sasha Masson and Bob Wallach. Now next week on Speed Vision, we have a triple header of enjoyment for you. Have a look at this here. The BF Goodrich Tires Trans Am Series. We have the Speed Vision GT Series and the Speed Vision Touring Car Series. And it is all live from a brand new racetrack in San Diego. Don't move a muscle or a remote control from Speed Vision next Sunday. Frank Biela stayed on board. We saw him in a little bit of clutch trouble. Len Hunt, the VP of Audi of North America, is still here with us. Len, this might be the first mechanical glitch I've seen with Audi all season long here.
Yeah, as soon as I mentioned the freight train, Derek, the clutch problem.
Len, there's a lot of talk about the Audis going into private hands maybe next year. Is that a realistic possibility?
It's certainly part of the plan to put privateers in the car, because there's been so much interest both in Europe and America now through obviously the series, and negotiations are currently taking place. I think you mentioned earlier with Conrad, but yeah, it's something we really want to do.
And we might have an American team here that might run.
We're certainly looking at it.
Okay, very good.
How do you balance the interest of the factory with the interest of the privateers and with the championships? And you know, as someone that is running these cars as a factory?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously our prime interest is in the factory team, which we support and want to carry on the relationship with Reinhold Joost. But certainly if we can get other people in, we can probably lend a bit of technical support, a bit of information, and really keep the thing going, because the more Audis that are out there, the better it is.
Let's go down to the Audi pit now with Calvin. Calvin?
Ronaldo Capello, we saw Alan struggle to get out of the pits. He stalled it twice, but I understand you had similar difficulties in practice this morning.
Yeah, we had the same problem this morning, leaving the pit after driver change. I think the problem comes from the clutch. We changed the clutch because since yesterday we did always a very good start, but since this morning we got some more problem, and we thought that it was just a driver mistake during the warm-up. It was too early this morning, probably we were still sleeping, but it seems to be a real problem. And then when I will get the car from Alan, I have to be very careful to leave the pit lane.
Yeah, those valuable seconds there, Derek. But what they try to do, these clutches, they're very small. They don't have much inertia. Unless you spin them up, there's a tendency for them to stall.
Thanks, Calvin. Len, not only have you supported the on-track activities of this sports car, but I know that you also support a young American driver, Paul Edwards, who had a great run at Magnus in the Palmer Audi car just in the last race.
Yeah, we've been support. Paul's had a bit of an indifferent season, but it's all part of our strategies to really try and get an American into Formula One, to be honest. And Paul's sort of, coming up. He had a good start last year, won the Winter Series, come through again, and it's great to see him fighting again.
Yeah, Paul Edwards struggled a bit in England, where they all know the racetracks, but when they took him to France, to Magnus, he ran second, had his best race of the year. So Paul Edwards trying to climb the ladder to Formula One. Meanwhile, let's get into Dorsey. Dorsey?
Johnny O'Connell, when we open our show, we talk about the races past couple, the fines levied, all the wild driving out there in the first of this race. First segment looked wild as could be.
Yeah, though, it's so much fun when that stuff's going on. You love to see, top drivers giving it everything they can, and we're doing that. I mean, there's a fun first couple of laps. Myself and Mimo and JJ everything was really fun. And, when I made the move on Mimo, I just don't think he could shut down in time. He's a pretty clean driver. So the flat tire really kind of took us out of contention, and I really feel we've got a car that's pretty darn competitive today.
Top breaker, Magnuson's flying though.
Yeah, you know what, they've got that car hooked up. They're doing a super job. Jan's rather focused, and the number one car, they've done a super job. We got close to him this time, and on that restart, they let me know Jan was behind me, so we let him go and have at it. So hopefully he'll be able to run hard enough to bring it home.
Well, guys, Johnny O'Connell's still in 6th place. Don't count him out of it yet.
It was lap 8 that Johnny O'Connell was hit by Mimo Schiatarella. Len, as we watch the success of Audi and the commercials you now run, has it energized your company? Has it energized people? Do people talk about Audi now in a different light?
Totally, because I thought, with the success that we're seeing on the track, we better put this into our mainstream marketing, and we've had a great reception from the public, our dealers, everybody involved with those commercials, and they're quite unique themselves, being shot on race day and then shown the day after, a couple of days after. So it's really quite a hair-raising experience, but it's all part of developing this performance element in the Audi brand makeup.
Yeah, it's been hugely successful. Len, I want to say thank you for what you've done for the American Le Mans Series. I know your decision was the one that was critical to bringing these cars over here, and we certainly have enjoyed this Audi freight train.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Barry.
Len. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thanks. Okay, the 08 cars we watch here is now 3rd in the GTS category, and that is a very, very good run for Zach Brown.
And I don't believe, Derek, this car has stopped yet, so they've got a pit stop in the near future. But certainly they've stayed out of trouble, and that's why they're having this good run. I believe Vic Rice on board in that 08 right now.
Yeah, so he's about to make his stop and turn it over to Zach Brown with a Rook Motorsports car. Zach Brown from Indianapolis, and San Rafael is where Vic Rice is from. Meanwhile, on board the BMW, we'll be right back.
Welcome back to Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and one of the GTS drivers, Tommy Archer, was leading when he made his pit stop. You guys were in a heck of a battle out there this afternoon with the sister car and the Vets.
I tell you what, it was great fun, and One of the Vipers was out there, the one from Holland. He had a little fuel problem, it looked like, coming off the first chicane. And he'd choke up every time we get down there, and Fellows and I would get bottled up behind him and going down the back straightaway. Fellows had me sideways once, and then he tried to pass Olivier on the inside, smoked the tires. Olivier went wide, and I passed Olivier on the inside. Great fun.
You've had so much success with the Viper over the years, and we understand that next year you're going to be in the Trans Am Series. Tell us about that program.
It's a brand new program with Sinjo Racing out of Detroit. Going to run a Dodge Viper, and it's going to be great fun going back to the Trans Am Series now that this deal's over with. Carry on the Dodge name in Trans Am.
Tommy Archer won here last year. He's going for 2 in a row, boys.
This Orica team has such a history with developing young drivers, particularly France. Patrick Tambay, Alain Prost, names like that, Didier Pironi, of course, who lost his life a couple of years after his Formula 1 career ended when he should have won the Formula 1 World Championship. But they all came through the hands of Hugh de Schoeneck and Orica. What a legacy he has, and he continued to build on it. This Viper was so good.
They've worked so hard on the development of these cars, and as Dorsey pointed out at the top of the show, this is the last straight-up fight between these Orica team cars and the factory Corvette cars, because these cars will not be run by Orica next year. They are going to focus on the prototype class. They are going to develop a new Viper for 2002, so the Vipers will be back. They're not gone forever.
So Barrichet is still behind the wheel of the number 7 BMW. They are not in the hunt. He has made it to 19th place overall, but still well behind the GTS leader, which is the Porsche 911 with Masson. Welcome back to the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. The Grand Prix of Las Vegas. Now, we've watched the GTS battle all season long here, and really the Corvette has spiced it up. But truly, it has belonged to the Vipers. Team Orica's first taste of success with the Viper at Le Mans came in '98, when the car driven by David Donahue, Justin Bell and Luca Drudi took the checkered flag, and they proudly stood upon the podium. The team's first American Le Mans race came at Mosport in August of '99, and their efforts are again victorious, beginning a streak of what would eventually become 12 consecutive wins. Then the 24 Hours of Daytona, and here the Vipers outpaced the entire field, including the faster prototypes, and they captured their first ever overall win at the Rolex 24 Hours at Daytona. They followed this up with a 1-2-3 sweep of the GTS division at the famous 12 Hours of Sebring, America's oldest endurance race. What a great start to their second ALMS season. Their success continued with another 1-2-3 sweep at Le Mans. So we are back live here, and we've had an interesting race so far. Jan Magnussen is the leader right now, led 27 laps, 4 lead changes, one of them in spectacular style, when Alain McNish in the Audi was punted off the racetrack by Magnussen. We've only got 3 cars out of the race. There is Jan Magnussen. He overcame a stop-and-go penalty. He has overcome damage to the front. He is the fastest car on the racetrack. So McNish is not able to keep pace with Magnussen. He slowly pulls away about 2 or 3 tenths of a second per lap. They came here with really high hopes, Jeremy, that the horsepower in this thing would be able to overcome the general ability and agility of that Audi.
Well, remember, at Laguna Seca, they ran so well there. He led much of that race. He did pick up a stop-and-go penalty there for an infraction with a GT Porsche up at the corkscrew. Subsequently, the car broke, and they were not able to really get the result they thought they deserved, which was a race win. And I think they came here with that attitude, and certainly with that in the back of their mind. This car now, especially on this type of racetrack, should be able to beat this Audi in a head-to-head race.
And the new Panoz for next year will test next week. They've already run the engine, which is a 4-litre double overhead cam engine built by Zytec in England. It was announced at the Petit Le Mans, shown to the press for the first time, but the engine's already been run in this car, but the whole new car concept, which is a much smaller, lighter engine, will run next week, and hopefully they will bring it to Australia for Magnussen and David Brabham to run. Meanwhile, let's go to Dorsey.
David Brabham, your teammate out there, Jan Magnussen's got the bit between his teeth. What'd you do to him?
Well, he's in great form. I mean, he's doing a fantastic job out there. And, you know, at the start, he took advantage of Audi's problems on cold tires. Just took off like he did at Nürburgring. And, you know, it's been a fantastic race for us at the moment. We just have to keep it going.
You came into this race last year with a chance of winning the championship. It's not so this year, but it looks like you might be able to win the race.
Well, I mean, you know, I think after a few races ago, we realized we weren't really going to win the championship. So each race we go to, we're just trying to win. And this is what we're trying to do this weekend.
You're anxious to get into the new car for next year?
Yeah, hopefully I'm testing it next week, doing a shakedown on it, and then we bring it over to America and do some proper running, and hopefully we'll race it in Adelaide if everything goes well. But I'm really, really looking forward to it.
Well, guys, they might see the new car in Adelaide.
Yeah, in fact, there were supposed to be 2 Brabhams racing in Adelaide, but Jeff, his brother, who was going to drive, hopefully, for the Tom Milner PTG team, that deal apparently has fallen apart. So Jeff will stay retired or somewhat retired and continue to count his money that he still hides under the mattress. We'll be back. Last year here at Las Vegas, 3 drivers had a shot at the championship: Eric Bernard, David Brabham and Elliott Forbes Robinson. The Panoz of Bernard was in the pit early with damage to the right rear after a crash at the chicane. EF4 and the Dyson Racing Riley and Scott chassis will cruise to a championship if the Panoz can't recover. Later in the race, Bernard was back in. This time, problems are terminal. Title hopes are dashed. Battle for the lead? Well, now it's all Steve Soper as he led a BMW 1-2 sweep, which was the American Le Mans Series season ender. And after all the celebrating was over, it was EFR who had captured the Drivers' Championship without ever winning a single race. And how times change. Those same BMWs are in the race this year, but nowhere near as competitive as they need to be. And the Panoz car that had all that trouble last year is now the dominant car. He is not the fastest car in the race. That's still, fastest lap still goes to McNish at an 8.2, but Magnus at an 8.7. That was earlier in the race. But right now he is running almost, Jeremy, a second a lap quicker than McNish.
Yeah, the gap has been in and around 6 to 8 seconds, and as they get in and out of traffic, that certainly has gone up and down a little bit. But boy, both of these guys have been incredibly assertive, incredibly aggressive in traffic, and pretty clean, with the exception of the contact we saw between McNish and Magnussen. These 2 cars have been fairly clean so far.
But the Audi pit is always news, no matter where we are. Calvin?
Well, in these races, Derek, communication and strategy is everything, and Audi thinks of everything. Look on top of the toolbox. You see a little Christmas tree. Right now it's flashing green, or actually just a stationary green, meaning the track is under green. We saw a caution period, and it went full caution period yellow. That bottom yellow light lights up. Red is for red course, and the top one is for local yellow. So we saw a yellow flash, and immediately the crew was alerted that there may be a problem, and they got ready for a potential pit stop. Unbelievable.
Wow, these boys, they just think of everything. And this season has been marked by not just the speed of this car, the strength of this car, the versatility this car has when they need to change things mechanical. And even when they have a bad day, when they get sideswiped, they still seem to survive and pick up valuable championship points. Capello, though, we know is being readied in that pit. So we do expect McNish to be in sometime within the next 5 to 10 laps, but Capello is ready to take over from McNish.
You saw McNish there flashing the lights, let that slower GT car know that he's coming. The closing rates on some of these cars are just incredible. If you're in a GT car and you drive down into a braking zone, say turn 1 or turn 5 here at Las Vegas, you can put the brakes on and see no one in your mirrors, and all of a sudden, look at this closing rate, and all of a sudden that car is there.
He missed him completely, missed the turn in because the Nighthawk turned in. He just didn't anticipate how slow that 675P car was running.
And that's the thing, the closing rate in the braking zone is just phenomenal. If you misjudge it, or if you plan on the hole being there and the hole does not materialize, then you're done. And McNish now has picked up probably 2 to 2.5 seconds on that. The gap the last time by was 5.3 seconds, so we'll check the gap the next time by.
Here it is here again, Jeremy. Look at the closing speed here. Magnussen down the inside. Now look, the road is completely blocked.
And he doesn't know if he should dive down into the apex, because if that driver does not see him, he is done.
Good.
So luckily, down to the chicane, he can bail out and take the access road and rejoin.
I hope he doesn't get penalized for that. I don't believe he will, because that was a good move not to hit that car and try and squeeze down to the apex and would have taken the two boys off the road. Good move by Magnussen.
So here's the gap. Magnussen over the line, and he did a 1:13 on that last lap. Remember, he's been in the 9s and 10s, and the gap now back to McNish sits at 3.5. It was 5.3, so he picked up almost 2 seconds.
And that's what Alan McNish needs now if he's going to win. At the moment, the Panoz has the speed, but can they stay out of trouble? They couldn't at Laguna. Maybe they can in Vegas. We are back live. We are watching Stefan Johansson. Stefan Johansson and Guy Smith are teamed in this car. It is a Reynard with a Judd V10 engine. They've actually run quite well here. They are 6th at the moment. They did well in qualifying. They lined up 8th place right behind Gunon and Orwell in the BMW. But Stefan Johansson, this has been a frustrating year for Stefan. This was not a good racing car when it was delivered. They became the development team, but really they're about 2 seconds off the pace on a regular basis. And this was one of the teams that tried to get the Audi privateer team for next year, but I don't think they're going to pull it off. Now, something we mentioned earlier was the weather, the potential for bad weather. We're less than halfway through this. Remember, it's a 2-hour, 45-minute race. We're only an hour and a half into it. And Calvin, how does the weather look down there?
Well, the clouds are definitely threatening right now, Derek, and I'll tell you what I did notice is a big drop in temperature. It must have dropped about 15 degrees since the start of this race, and getting pretty windy down here, and we could have some stuff blowing in before the end of this one.
And the problem with this racetrack, of course, is that it doesn't drain very well. It's not like it rains every day here in Las Vegas, so drainage is not a big priority, and that can be a problem, especially on this infield part of the racetrack. There's the gap now down to 2 seconds. Remember, it was 5.3 before the little mistake there at the chicane, went down to 3.5, and now 2.08 seconds between this first place and second place car.
So 72 laps into the race, an hour and a half into it, and McNish still seems to be able to run laps as fast as he did almost at the top of the show. And this is, remember, on a set of tires that is now more than halfway through the second stint.
And you saw Magnussen there struggling to get traction to the ground. That corner that leads out of the infield section is very, very slow. Of course, it's first gear in all these cars, and Magnussen on these tires that now have 73 laps on them, definitely struggling to get traction.
There is McNish. 2 drivers here whose career path got a bit derailed through unusual circumstances in Europe. When Magnussen went to do the British Formula 3 Championship, he broke all the records that were set by Ayrton Senna. Then he drove for the McLaren Formula 1 team, drove for the Stewart Formula 1 team. Then it all fell apart. Alan McNish, on the other hand, was the up-and-coming star of England in the Formula 3 Championship. Did a Formula 2 season, or Formula 3000 season, had a big crash in Donington. A spectator was killed, and that derailed his career momentum path. But they are back at the top now of their game, certainly in sports car racing. Let's get a GTS update from Dorsey, and there's ours, Ron Fellows.
I'm with my buddy Ron Fellows here. Ron, you're back in 5th place. I know that's not what you wanted. What happened?
No, we're falling farther behind. I'm not sure what's going on exactly. My stint, I flat spotted the tire in the first chicane, and then it was okay. Then on that restart with Beretta, I just messed up. I thought I could get stopped and get inside him because we were in pretty good shape at that point, but my fault. And I really flat spotted the tires bad, and then it finally popped on my in lap. But anyway, my fault, and keep plugging away.
Don't count him out yet, guys. He's a tough guy.
Yes, he is. Fastest lap of the leading Viper, Fastest lap of the fellow's Corvette is separated by 0.6 of a second. And that 0.6 of a second gap, Jeremy, they've had all weekend long here. Every session, this Corvette has just not been on the pace.
Well, the Corvette guys have been complaining, and they complained about it at Laguna as well. On the low grip racetracks, they were really struggling. But look at this battle. McNish continues to close down. And Derek, I still wonder about that point by that we saw before the first pit stop. Very unlike Alan McNish to just point someone by.
Why did he do that? Exactly, that was the question. Second place GT car now is in. Dirk Mueller is in the car. He's getting in the car. Calvin?
Lucas Luhr jumps out. You can see that Band-Aid is still working on the right front fender. Fuel is in. They're going to tires once again. So this track must be pretty abrasive. It's a low grip surface, but you'd be thinking that the tires would hold up. I think there's really some overheating problems, and they need to get fresh tires on these guys. And this GT category is just so competitive these days. We've got the BMWs trying to make their mark, but these Porsche boys have been dominant all year. They've won the manufacturers, and now Barbara's won the team championship, but the driver championship is still very much up in the air.
So you see the long line of traffic. You mix 3 different classes. You mix a lot of entertainment sometimes and a lot of frustration, but now Magnussen, we saw Magnussen change tires earlier, but he does not have the speed now. They're both doing mid-10s, low 10s, but Magnussen can no longer fend off the challenge here from Alan McNish. The Lola, we see the Lola there, Schiaparelli, he is running in 8th place. He is now showing.
Oh, look at this, look at this, one of the Corvettes. And that is the number 3 car. That's Andy Pilgrim. Loses the car coming out onto turn 4. That's turn 4 on the oval.
How did that happen?
Well, I think he lost it. I think he lost it because you do have to run out to the grass there, and if you drop a wheel, it's definitely possible to lose the car. But he's rolling again. There'll be no full course yellow.
We just spoke to Ron Fellows, his teammate, about the troubles they have. He had brake troubles earlier on. No sooner, 3 minutes later, and Andy Pilgrim, his teammate's in trouble.
And the other thing is it can also be that transition, Derek, because that transition is very difficult from the apron up onto the oval.
Here's a replay. It must be the transition. What's that, though? What's on the right side? Is that a cone? Did he hit a marker cone?
You know, Derek, I think it was a combination of him getting a little bit wide and then hitting that transition. And, of course, there's no grip out there. Now, this was a few laps ago. Look at McNish. He locks up, and then big sparks as he drives it down that very difficult transition into turn 1. This racetrack is not very friendly for these cars, no question about it.
And this is not what you call a high bank racetrack, but yet these transitions for road course, you can see it right there. It is quite severe. They go on the banking and then back to the apron again.
But you know, these racetracks are never designed for these cars to run up and down over those transitions.
So Ron Fellows gets ready for battle. He's going to take over from Andy Pilgrim. He's going to get ready anyway, just in case there's something wrong with Pilgrim. We'll be back.
The American Le Mans Series is brought to you by Porsche, who wish to remind you there is no substitute.
Welcome back, and there's the full course yellow. We have an answer to the problem in the Corvette that has caused this full course yellow, the second full course yellow. And here's a replay.
Well, we don't see what happens, but we're making an assumption here that it blew probably the right rear tire because the right rear corner of the car is pretty much torn off, and the tire is just junk. And Andy Pilgrim goes for a big ride, probably about 185 miles an hour when that tire blew, and he's now making his way back to the garage, but that car would most certainly be done for the day.
Yeah, that is in kit form. Well and truly. So Ron Fellows, we saw him get ready earlier on. He will not get into that car right now. And that obviously answers the question as to what happened when we saw him spin coming onto the banking just one lap earlier. That right rear tire was obviously about to let go.
And Derek, there's a tremendous amount of debris down here past the start-finish line, so a great deal of work to be done in terms of getting this cleaned up. Good opportunity for a lot of these guys to stop under yellow, and it looks like Magnussen and yes, I believe Magnussen and the 77 Audi are going to stop.
Yeah, the number 1 and number 2 cars are now in the pit lane. Magnussen and McNish are McNish, yeah, right there. Calvin?
Well, Alan McNish jumps out. It's going to be Capello jumping in right now, and there's going to be a real battle at the end of this one. We expect David Bradman to take over the driving chores down at Panoz. It's going to be a tyre change we would expect. Alan has done almost a double stint on this with just over an hour left in this event, as then a sister car, the 78 car, comes in right behind him, taking advantage of the full caution period. It's going to be tight, guys. I think it's going to be a real question mark as to whether they can do it the rest of the way. Meanwhile, that #1 car is down in pit lane also, Dorse.
Has now got out, Magnuson out, and Brabham is in the car. I'm looking at the damage to the right front from earlier on. It's taken the headlight out for sure, and it's split some of the front nose, but it's still very much intact. Nothing wrong with that. All the fuel is in. They're taking tires on right now. Now, one of the things that's a problem right down here in front of the right front, there is a thing in front of the tire. Pretty soon he's going to go and be out of here, Cal.
Well, the Audi is still struggling. Capello eventually gets it moving. He had one big stall and then stalled it again momentarily and nearly gets beat out by the BMW.
Yeah, but look what happens. Look what happens. The Audi beats the Panoz out of the pit lane and gains track position. Look at the Audis. Look. The Audi and the BMW are going to fight over track position here. Who's at the line first? Well, Capello's on the inside line. That was good enough for him. What caused the damage on the front of that Panoz? We didn't see that on the pit stop earlier, and I don't think it was when he hit the... I don't think he hit that Nighthawk. The Lola, Nighthawk Racing. Well, we're going to try and answer some of these questions as we get this debris cleared up from the full course yellow. Welcome back, still under a full course yellow, debris all over the front straight from the tire explosion with the #3 Corvette. They have gone back to the pit lane, limped back, but we got a chance now to talk to Alan McNish. Calvin?
Alan, it looked like you're in a great battle with Jan Magnussen this afternoon. Tell us about the times when you did touch.
Yeah, basically Jan got the jump on me at the start, and he pulled away in the first few laps very well. After that, I caught him up, and I managed to overtake him when he got bolted coming onto the banking. I pulled in front. I've got no grievance towards it at all. I think it was just a case of we're both fighting for position, and you know, he maybe misjudged his braking a little bit right behind my car.
A little bit of damage to the diffuser. Any problems with the car in terms of balance right now?
Yeah, certainly it isn't handling as well now as it was at the beginning. I've lost some rear grip, especially in the slow corners and leading onto the banking, which made it a bit too interesting at times, but you know, the car's not too bad. We're still able to fight a little bit, and we'll see what happens now Dinda's in the car.
Well, they're definitely going to be in a fight, Dorsey Schrader, with that Panoz this afternoon.
Well, guys, I'm with Andy Pilgrim. Andy, we saw you spin in NASCAR 4, and then that big moment going into turn 1.
Yeah, we'd had a little issue with oversteer, to say the least, in the session. But basically, obviously the right rear just disintegrated going down the straightaway. So all the damage is actually from the air, as you well know. You know, when the tire explodes, it took the bodywork with it. When it spun around, the air got in the car going the wrong way, blew the windshield out. It was a pretty exciting ride, to say the least.
Well, guys, the debris you're talking about, I'm looking at this Corvette. It has blown the thing to bits. There's no back to it, no driver's side, passenger side doors, windshield gone. It looks a wreck.
I will tell you, when they talk about a tire blow, it is an explosion. It is like putting a hand grenade in under that right rear fender, and it literally blows the thing to pieces. I mean, when tires blow, it bends sheet metal and metal tubing. But here's a look at the highlights. Boom! Magnussen drop kicks Alan McNish in the Audi. That was for the lead, remember, earlier. Then he was given a stop-and-go penalty. This infuriated him, but he came back in a charge and got himself back into the lead.
Okay, we're headed back.
And there's that point by that we didn't get the information from Alan McNish. Why on earth did he point? That was also a pass for the lead. This is Magnussen misjudging the closing rate on that car that he was lapping, and luckily no contact there, able to bail out. Here is the end of the last pit stop, where the Audi beats the Panoz out, and as a matter of fact, the BMW also beats the Panoz out.
So we are now, I believe, cleaned up and about to go back to green. There is still some damage on that Magnussen car that David Brabham now drives that is curious. I don't know where the second piece of damage came from that that pushed in the front right headlight. We saw the earlier damage as you look down through your top 10 here. There's your GTS leaders. Beretta and Wendlinger now firmly in the top 10. In fact, Vipers, first, second in GTS, 9th and 10th overall. Cato and O'Connell, we believe, are still a lap down because of the earlier pit stop when O'Connell got mugged by Schiattarella in that Lola, in the Olive Garden Lola. But Capello and McNish make up a position during that pit stop, and here we go again with the green. Yes, we are about to go green. The leaders are completely buried in traffic, and Brabham gets the jump.
Brabham gets the jump, and look at Capello. He falls back to third. This is on board the 43 car, which is actually on the road up ahead of the leaders.
So the leading cars are behind him. McNish now, in fact, leads Brabham. Cato is in the middle of the mix there. JJ Leto is the official leader of the race. McNish is now second. Brabham is third, so BMW do lead. York Mueller is in the car.
And actually, I think that was the number 2 Panoz we were looking at, because it's now the BMW in the lead. Yes, it's the BMW, the Audi, and the Panoz. So, and the other Audi right behind Brabham in that number 1 car. So look at these guys. Look at this.
Oh, Panoz off the road.
That is Cato, and look at the 77 car. May have made contact.
We didn't get one lap under green, and suddenly there is a schmozzle. That is Stefan Johansson in trouble. So Stefan hit somebody very, very hard. Probably Cato. Remember the huge crash Cato had? Oh, that's it. Day's over. Huge crash Cato had at Laguna Seca, hit the concrete wall, just absolutely destroyed the number 2 Panoz, and it's over for him again today.
So he doesn't even get a full lap under green. There is the Panoz team.
Dave Price there from England, left to your picture, runs this operation.
Well,
the rear wing's gone.
Yeah, the number 1 car got caught up in this. Remember, he was only 3 or 4 cars behind his teammate in the number 2 car.
Talk about the wheels coming off the wagon, all in one go. David Brabham forced to pit. Dorsey, how bad does it look?
Hey, the front end, I'm looking at damage you saw before, but that's not the thing. The back end, back here, no wing whatsoever. There's damage to the diffuser a little bit. Let me see. The biggest problem is going to be getting this wing, guys. It doesn't look like an easy fix at all.
Can we guess? Can we guess that that was Johansson that hit him? There's the wing right there. Look, there's the Panoz wing buried in the front of Stefan Johansson's car. You can't hide that evidence. Little leaf.
But Derek, I think that was all caused by the number 2 car spinning, and I think David Brabham checked up to avoid contact and got hit from behind.
Okay, let's have a look at the replay again. So here's the checkup here. Here's Johansson behind David Brabham on the right side.
And it's the BMW that spins Cato. That's what it was. It was the BMW that spins Cato. The Audi bails out, and you can see the contact hasn't even happened yet, I don't think, Derek, because I saw David Brabham drive through. Look at the top of the shot.
No, it did. It happened earlier. Let's go real slow here. This is Cato out of his car, but we're going to show you the replay again in super slow motion. There's about 4 different incidents all at the same time here. Now, what's the BMW here, Jeremy?
The BMW lower left, that will hit the Panoz right there. That spins the Panoz.
What's the right side of your screen? The Audi hits, David Brabham hits the Audi, look, boom, smacks him. And now Johansson has now run into the back of David Brabham.
But Brabham still has the rear wing.
Still has his wing.
He
so
still has the wing.
Incident.
He got hit somewhere else. There's the tap. There's the Panoz. The Panoz gets spun. You see Brabham does hit the Audi, but that's not... Look at the nose on the Reynard is still okay. That all happened somewhere else. Who hits him here? There it is, right there.
There it is. So there's about 4 different incidents. All happen in about 50 feet or 50 yards of racetrack. And now we've got a BMW limping badly into the pits. It has to have at least a broken suspension.
Look at the right side of this car. It's just been destroyed. look at, this is the 78 car, and I think I got this car confused with the Reynard because this is the car that sneaks through. There's the teammate right in front. Brabham is to the left. There is the Panoz spinning. See, he sneaks up the inside. He sneaks up the inside. He gets through it very cleanly.
So the BMW spins Kato. Everybody checks up. David Brabham then hits the Audi, but Pirro and Biela now lead. We are back and we are on board the leader. This is Pirro. Biela started off, did a double stint. They have avoided all the incidents and all the crashes. Started off with a poor start, but look the way it shakes out now. We know Capello and McNish's car has damage. We know one of the BMWs is in serious trouble. Brabham Magnussen is still in the pit lane. Johansson is still in the pit lane. So this top 10 is going to further shake out. 87 laps, almost 2 hours into it. This top 10 is changing as we speak. We'll be right back. We are back with another look at this replay, because this is good value here.
And this is critical. This whole group of cars gets caught behind this GT Porsche. If we stop the frame right there, and you can see Kato has been hit. He's in the Panoz in the red car. He's been hit by Mueller in the BMW. Now Mueller has to check up the 77 car. The Audi has to check up. He gets hit just a little bit by Brabham in the other Panoz. Actually elevates the left rear corner of that 77 car. The damage is now done to Kato's car. The 78 car sneaks up the inside, the Audi. There is Brabham. He gets through okay, but then something slows him down, and we see it from this angle. So there is the Panoz, slowed down by that Porsche, gets popped right there, and gets hit very hard right there. Now there goes the Audi, the 78 car to the left. With him goes Brabham, but right here, and I think Brabham must have not had his gear, Derek. I don't think he was, because he just wasn't rolling, and then he gets hit by the Reynard.
And you know what? In fairness to Stefan Johansson, he was completely unsighted because it was a 911 right between him and David Brabham, who pulled out of the way, and bang, Johansson just ran smack into the back of him. Boy, that was at least 4 incidents that all happened at the same time, and the 42 BMW did not survive. Dorsey?
A lot of damage down here. Jörg Mueller sits in the car. They're rebuilding the right side of the car. You see the mechanics at work. They're going to put a radiator in. But the suspension damage is minimal. Take a look here. Right here where the upper control arm goes on, it normally attaches to a shear plate that is right in this vicinity. Now a shear plate is designed to be weaker than that whole link. So when it pulled through, it yanked the shear plate off. Just like this one over here. They're going to bolt a new one on, bolt it back together, put a radiator in. This car will make it back, which is quite amazing.
Thank you, Dorsey. So that is obviously a big job down there for that BMW. Meanwhile, Pirro and Biela, Pirro behind the wheel right now, continues to lead. And he is shown, as Alan McNish goes by, he is 23 seconds of a lead over his teammate Alan McNish. Now, we are going to show you later on a highlight package for the season with these P cars. And it's going to be on the back side of the commercial just coming up. So let's just slip away for a quick break. And we're going to show you a season highlight for the P cars, and it is very interesting to watch. Don't go away. We'll be right back. At Sebring, lots can happen. Just ask Dorsey Schrader, or the Panoz team, or the BMW team. That's the Audi team. Well, they finished 1-2. At Charlotte, Audi's older cars are being crash tested. Meanwhile, BMW went on to victory. Silverstone, Olive Garden, Lola on the pole. Brabham fights hard, but neither he nor the Audis could stop JJ Leto Mueller from winning again. Nürburgring, our first rain race. Audi's in all sorts of trouble. Meanwhile, Brabham and Magnussen win in the Panoz, and Don himself joined the celebrations with the champagne. Sears Point, BMW spins. Audi wins as Capello and McNish lap the entire field. Low sport. More rain, more big crashes, including Magnussen in the Panoz. Late in the race, while some cars are sliding off course, the Audi and BMW race to the closest finish in series history. In Texas, scorching heat of Mother Nature would take its toll on the Viper drivers in particular. Meanwhile, it's the Audis that were red hot and successful. Portland, the beginning of the contact sport of sports car war zone. Johnny O'Connell shakes his fist. Meanwhile, the Audis of McNish and Capello, again they're winners. At Petit Le Mans, Bill Oberlin does a backflip without injury. The Olive Garden Lola smashes the wall. Meanwhile, Alan McNish is on the wall of victory. Laguna Seca. Audi drop kicks a BMW. BMW drop kicks an Audi. Cato smashes into the concrete wall. Meanwhile, the Audi steamroller goes on 1-2 yet again. And that all happened just in one season. Now, don't forget at the end of this year in racing, we have the American Le Mans season in review, Monday, January 15th at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Don't miss that. Now, with an update on some of the damage, let's go to Calvin.
Well, I'm down in the Johansson pit, and this is one very used up Reynard front end. You see the damage to the fender. Here's the piece of the car that really has the strength in the event of a front end impact. But look at this, Derek. Completely sawed the car in half. As we come around to some more carbon fiber, here's the telltale story. This is a piece from the #1 car that David Brabham was driving. But I understand that Dorsey has Jan Magnussen standing by.
Jan, fantastic first stint by you. It was awfully aggressive, however.
Yeah, I mean, we had I had a good start and was able to get a little bit of a gap the first couple of laps, although it was very equal. I caught some traffic coming on to the straight, and Alan was able to pull past. There was a bit of shuffling around going on at the end of the straight. I took my normal brake point, and Alan came out, took his, and I hit him. It was my fault, and I had a stop-go penalty. Had to fight my way back. It was, I mean, for what's happened now, it's been such a great day up until now. A good car and was able to fight with people. It was so much fun out there. And to end it like this, just a shame. It's the second weekend for us. That looked like we were going to win, and we didn't.
We were surprised when Alan McNish caught you. He gave you a wave by down there.
Well, he waved me by for some reason. I don't know. Maybe he had a problem. I don't know why. I thought he was going to punt me off.
Tough break, man. Back to you guys.
Believe me, he was probably thinking of punting you off after what you did to him earlier on, but I don't think it was on purpose. In fact, Alan did say that earlier on in an interview, but that was a great opening double stint by Jan Magnussen. Remember, Panoz have only won one time this year. We saw that earlier. That was at the Nürburgring. They were second in Portland. At the Petit Le Mans, they were third. But they really, Jeremy, appeared as if they had the speed to take the fight to the Audis this afternoon. But that big crash ended a great race.
And I think the key to that was that Magnussen said, you know, we have now 2 races in a row been in a position to win, felt we should have won, and have been eliminated from the race. Of course, it was mechanical problems at Laguna, and of course, the crash here. This 43 car, the BMW is trying to get a lap back from the leader. That is the leader right there, number 78. And the 43 car, as we're on board with the 43 car, trying to get that lap back right now.
Trying to get the lap back. That is never that easy. Remember, this is the same BMW they ran here last year that was so successful. Meanwhile, let's go to Chris Neifel. Calvin?
Well, Chris has jumped out. It's going to be Justin Bell driving now. Chris, the Viper seems so strong here. I know you've been working hard on the tire combination to try and get a balanced race car here.
I hate to say it, the car's the best it's been all weekend. I know that the way our cars, the 4 car, is handling now suits Justin quite nicely. The car's a bit pushy, which I'm a little bit more used to the car being a little bit looser. And but once I started getting some fuel burned off, you know, I felt really good. And you know, I'm happy that our car's good. You know, the guys worked hard, and we just didn't have anything for those red cars this week.
Did the track conditions come to you, or was it adjustments you made with the car?
Well, we made some adjustments to the car. You know, the fact that, you know, it's a new situation with Car 4, new guys working together. Our learning curve wasn't quite where it needed to be, and it came together nicely on race day, but in terms of sheer speed, we just, weren't where we needed to be.
All right, mate. Best of luck the rest of the way.
Thanks, Calvin.
11th place overall for that Corvette. They are in 3rd place overall in the GTS category.
And this is the telemetry from the number 92 Viper. You can see the speed in the lower left corner there, 164, 165, about 167 miles an hour, braking at about 1.2 Gs. That red graph on the right, when it plunges down into the red, is braking. Of course, it's in acceleration mode right now, accelerating at 0.5, 0.6 Gs. And we'll see another good braking spike here as we go down the back straightaway into turn 5. Here's the braking zone right here, 1.2 Gs, 1.3 Gs of braking.
1.3 Gs. We are now about 38 minutes left in this race, 2 hours 45 minutes. It is a timed race. So as this thing rolls on here, it has settled down a bit, only because of the incident we saw about 10 minutes ago that really finished off 2 or 3 very fast cars. So the Audis again run 1-2.
And of course, in sports car racing, under certain rules and under certain sanctioning bodies, they used to point the leaders around after full course yellow to put the leaders up at the front of the line. They do not do that in the American Le Mans Series, and that's why the leaders were caught in the middle of that group of cars, and that had a lot to do with setting off that incident.
Oh, a sandwich job again here for the number 92 Viper. You see, he backed off though. He was going to go outside first, and he backed off and went down the inside. There's your top 10. Don't go away. We are back, our 3rd full course yellow of the afternoon. Charlie Slater threw the Conrad Lola into the wall, just coming off the last corner, sat there for quite a while. They had to send a tow truck out, got him running so he can limp back to the pit lane. Meanwhile, let's get an update from the pit lane with Dorsey.
Bill Oberlin, you just got out of the 43. You're in 3rd place. It's a war out there.
Yeah, you see these guys are bumping and pushing. I mean, this race determines a championship for us. If we win it, I mean, it probably is already gone anyways, but we had to battle like crazy in order to come out to here with the win, and then we could, carry on after the championship. I think now it's kind of locked by Audi, but we are definitely fighting like heck out there.
Well, your other car's about ready to go back out. We see it getting ready to fire up. They had it running a minute ago. Your car's still strong?
Our car's perfect. Everything is running great. BMW motor's perfect. Just a little bit of luck we need. I mean, right after I came in, we were out of fuel. We came in and full course caution now, so we went a lap down. We're gonna have to try to make it up and keep on going after those Audis.
Well, guys, tough break here in the pits.
Yeah, the championship he's talking about, of course, is the Drivers' Championship. They led for most of the season until the last race when McNish took over the lead of the Drivers' Championship. And of course, that is the P car run by BMW. The M3 car that runs in the GT class is a development of the M3 from the road car. On board here with Hans Stuck, but earlier we asked him to take us through the road car versus the race car.
This is the latest product of the BMW M Series, the new M3 street car. For those of you who don't know what M means, M stands for motorsport, and M is maybe the most powerful letter in the world. It has been installed since 1979. So, let me show you some similarities on both cars. First of all, look at this front spoiler here of the street car. It's similar to the racing car. But then we come to the fender, and this has to be much wider, of course, because it's got to fit those monster slick tires. But they are bigger but not taller. Both cars are on 18-inch diameter wheels. Coming to the back of the car, you will see a very big wing. This we have to put on, because you get to put the power down of the powerful engine, not to have so much wheel spin. The heart of the two cars is the same. Both have a 3.2-liter 6-cylinder flat engine. The street car has 333 horsepower, and the race car has 666. No, I'm kidding you. Sorry, only 450. That's a pity. Let's come to the inside of the car. The main thing is it's very raw inside. No air conditioner, no stereo, and nothing. Just a roll cage, which is good for safety, also for the strength of the car. You see, a racing seat, racing wheel, that's it. But to be honest, for going home tonight, back to the hotel, see my wife, I prefer the street car. It's much more comfortable and nicer.
Yeah, and of course Hans Stuck is so old now, he likes those nice, comfortable street cars.
Whew, low blow.
This is the number 42. We raced Formula One together. It's 25 years ago, so I can say that now.
These guys are almost done with the work on that 42 car, and quite a job they've been doing there. Rear suspension, radiator, half shafts, uprights, the whole deal on that number 42 car.
3 cautions. Lap 17, debris from the Randy Post Lambert Porsche. Lap 78, as we watch our green flag again, we had a yellow. Lap 101, the Slater crash. For those of you interested in the champ car race from Fontana, it is in the rain delay. De Ferran on the pole down there, almost 242 miles an hour. But back here at Las Vegas, I mean, this has been action-packed again. Right from the start, we saw incidents. When Magnus took out the Audi, look at the blue smoke again. These opening laps, cold tires.
There is David Brabham in the sole remaining Panoz, and that car right now sits down in 8th position.
But he also sits about 7 laps behind. So the 2 Audis are, there is 3 cars on the opening lap, are on the lead lap. Gounon and Oberlin. Gounon now behind the wheel in the BMW. Misfortune has been around many, many people today. And this infield section again, this infield section is where things get tight, and that's where we saw the incident happen. But in fairness, Kato appeared to be minding his own business when he got hit by the number 42 BMW.
And this is on board the number 43 BMW, which goes by the number 77 Audi, and that's actually not for position. That is to get a lap back from that car. So the 43 car, Gounon on board right now. What he needs to do is get in touch with the overall leader, which of course is the number 78 Audi. That's about 14 seconds up the road right now to get back on the lead lap.
And the P battle so is between the 2 Audis and this one lonesome BMW here. As he comes up behind one of the GTS leaders. In fact, that is the GTS leader. Now, second of the GTS, Archer Donahue. Beretta and Wendlinger continues to lead. What a job these Vipers have done with the GTS category this year. Lots of changes for next year. Maybe let's get an update on that from Lou Patain in the pit lane. Calvin?
Lou, you look on once again as like a proud father. These Vipers have been so successful over the last few years. This is their last appearance in North America. It looks like you may score another victory here today.
Well, it's been a great race, and obviously it's not over with yet. We got about another 16 or 17 minutes. It's been tough. The Corvettes are absolutely tough competition for us. The yellows fell about equally, so it's been a really close race for both of us. But what can I say? The engineering group at Dodge Motorsports has done another great job today with Team Orca, and we're really proud of the results so far. We've got a little ways to go yet, so we're cautiously optimistic.
Tell us about the LMP program, how that's progressing. Will we see that in the States as well on the Le Mans next year?
We're really coming close to our first test. We'll take delivery of the first car for testing on the track about mid-December, which is right on program for us. The next evolution of the engine will be on the dyno in about 2 weeks. So we guess we'll be on the racetrack probably right around 1st of January before we can make any decisions as to what we're going to do other than a total commitment for Le Mans next year.
We look forward to seeing it, Lou. Congratulations on another championship season.
Thanks a lot. We appreciate all the fan support.
Good job, Lou. The engines that he mentions there being rebuilt are done by John Caldwell down in Ensenada, I believe, north of San Diego. We should give a call for Zach Brown and Vic Rice. They are in the GTS 911, running in 3rd place right now in that category. They are only 1 lap down with over 2 hours and 15 minutes of racing already run. Good run there for Brown and Rice.
Speed Vision's coverage of the American Le Mans Series is brought to you by Audi.
We are back, we are live, and there is the 08 car. They are running 3rd in the GTS class right now. That is Zach Brown behind the wheel. Zach Brown, in fact, is 7th overall in the GTS driver standings. His partner, Vic Rice, is actually 5th place. So these boys have done a very good job this afternoon. This car backed by Men's Fitness Magazine. It's Rook Motorsports North America. So they have quietly kept their nose clean, Jeremy, and done a good job here.
Yeah, and the Corvettes have not had a great day, and these guys have definitely capitalized on that. And interesting, in terms of this car, this is not a car, unlike the GT3R Porsche in GT, this car has not been developed with the help of Porsche. This car is a few years old, and these guys are pretty much out on their own campaigning this car and trying to make it competitive. And they're really, I mean, they're fighting an uphill battle because it's not had the factory support the way the Corvettes and the Vipers have had, but they have done a good job nonetheless.
They have. Zach Brown spends a lot of time trying to generate support for his racing, runs his own marketing company in Indianapolis, Just Marketing. They are, I believe, involved in some of the commercial aspects of Sylvester Stallone's new movie about Champ Car called Driven. You can see, obviously, this is the later 911, much different, completely different design. This is leading the GT class here, but you can see, I mean, this is the contemporary style Porsche 911.
Well, and of course, the big difference between these two cars would be this car is a non-turbocharged car. Those drops of rain I see on that lens.
Just to add a little bit of interest to the mix, yes, it is beginning to rain as we go on board the sister car for Dick Barber. This is the number 5 car.
You see that? That was the left wheels going off onto the curb, and that shook the whole car, including the camera.
We were curious when we saw this onboard camera earlier on what eDaddyWarbooks.com stands for. Apparently it is a maybe potential sponsor, but I believe it's an online trading company. eDaddyWarbook.com, I think is what it says.
And that is one of the BMWs, one of the PTG BMWs in front.
Look at the power difference, Jeremy. Look at that there.
Well, there's no question about it. The Porsches have had the advantage on top end and on power over the BMWs. The BMW is a little bit more nimble, and the BMW guys know they need to work on horsepower for next year. It is their weak point right now. There goes David Brabham in the Panoz.
And there are the threatening skies. It is just beginning to rain down in the pit lane. We saw Audi with 20 sets of tires earlier, including intermediates and including wet weather tires, so they are prepared. But now we have 2 hours and 24 minutes almost gone, so just over 20 minutes left in this 2-hour 45-minute Grand Prix of Las Vegas. And the rain beginning to come down now, just a little bit heavier. On board with Hans Stuck. See the drink bottle on the right-hand side. It's pretty hot on these cars. Development of the road going M3. Grabs a gear there, see that? Got into traffic, grabbed the gear. Here's a man here, Hans Stuck, who would love to see it rain. Suddenly would put a bit of an advantage back to BMW and to his unbelievable reflex and instinct style.
And they did run here on Friday. It did rain here on Friday. They ran in the wet, and it was actually quite treacherous, especially the transitions up onto the banking. As you leave the apron and go up onto the bank part of the racetrack, then you come back down right here. Those transitions very, very difficult to deal with in wet weather.
And Stuck is now third in the GT class overall. He's on the same lap as Lucas Luhr. It looks as if he's about 11 seconds behind last time past the scoring stripe. Did I say that right?
And this, you got it out finally. This 78 car, I just was going to pretend you weren't having any trouble at all. This 78 car right now with about a 25-second lead, and clearly on that camera lens you could see a lot of drops. And these guys will be okay for a while, but this racetrack, the nature of the racetrack and the surface here is that it will get greasy very, very quickly. And if you start to lose a little bit of tire temperature in these slicks, you will have to get into the pit lane. You'll have to get some intermediates on if it just sprinkles. And of course, if it does really begin to rain, you've got to go to full wet weather tires.
Last lap by Hero in the 12.3. Earlier they ran in the 10s. So being a little bit more careful right now. 9.3 is the fastest lap for Piero's car, so he's about 3 seconds a lap slower than the ultimate speed for the car we're on board with right now.
And remember, these guys, they started on the front row, outside of the front row, fell back to 8th in the early going. This is a great comparison with the telemetry on this car because we were on board earlier with the Viper. And I think you'll notice a big difference, especially in the braking at the end of the straightaways. These cars really, really stop very, very well. But these guys fell back down as low as 8th early on in this race, and they've been very, very patient. Watch this car as he runs down to this braking zone here. He'll probably get about a 1.6, 1.7 spike. There it is, 1.6 on that braking spike.
And he is now still 27.3 seconds ahead of Alan McNish and Capello in the sister car to this right behind them. Now, if it does rain, there will be a scramble, particularly for tires. Dorsey?
Well, guys down here in the BMW pit, they're getting ready with the full complement of tires. Right here is a full rain. It's a full grooved rain. You see right here, it's a very, very soft compound. But this is for a downpour when it's got puddling on the track. Next to me is a set of hand-cut tires. These were done with a tire grooving iron. And this is also a very, very soft compound. But as you can see, not nearly as many as what the tread sipes are. You won't get as much squirm out of this configuration on a drying track. So they're ready no matter what kind of rain we get, if we get it at all.
I want to say congratulations to our Dorsey Schrader. He got married last weekend. He met his new wife Kim on Sunday night. He married her Monday morning. He does things fast.
Dorsey does not mess around. And the next day he was in the studio doing a voiceover.
Yes, he was. Yeah, he won 17 Trans Am races, which means he doesn't do things slowly. Dorsey Schrader. There's your top 10, 113 laps completed. We're back. Don't forget NASCAR Inside Winston Cup right here on Speed Vision, Mondays, 7 p.m. Eastern. Our host is Alan Bestwick, and they laugh and joke and give you all sorts of information. A great show on Speed Vision. Meanwhile, the number 30 car, this is driven by Mike Fitzgerald, is in the pit lane. He has a badly damaged left rear. Now, this may have implications for the Porsche Cup. We mentioned it earlier. It is a private award. Our award for the privateer has been running since 1970. You can win as much as $35,000. That is one of the reasons they brought Christophe Bouchou over here to try and beat Mike Fitzgerald. Mike Fitzgerald has about a 300-point lead coming into this event. And it covers all the American Le Mans Series races, the FIA GT races, etc.
Pretty much anywhere you run a Porsche, you can score Porsche Cup points.
Yeah,
and a lot of history and a lot of. I mean, it's a great award, and many drivers from North America have won that award.
Yeah, they brought over Bouchou to see if he could win it. He was teamed with Tony Burgess. He's out of the race though. You see, is that one of our racers group cars?
Well, we saw the leader sneak through there. There is the lead Audi, and of course that lead continues to grow. The other car definitely has been, the damage now on the number 77 car has definitely slowed that car down. Now this car 38 seconds ahead of its team car.
Yeah, so Capello now happy to just take this thing home. In the LMP Drivers' Championship, McNish leads with 237. Over Capello, his own teammate, he is only 10 points clear. So it is theoretically, if McNish wins here or finishes second, which he could do, the only man theoretically that could beat him would be his teammate Capello, which would be in Australia. But the chances are they're going to be teamed in Australia, so if one gets points, the other gets points. So McNish really has a pretty good stranglehold on this LMP Drivers' Championship. David Donahue gets in. Tommy Archer gets out. What a great run Donahue has had in this Viper also.
And
Tightens
David
the
Donahue.
belts up. See that on the way down the pit lane. They loosen them on the way in, so it's easy to jump out, and then they tighten them to their own, as tight as they like them on the way down. David checks his mirror, still on the speed limiter. Look at his chest. Look at his chest. Look at his chest pound. He just got into the car. But your adrenaline rush is so great, your chest just pounds. Calvin?
Well, an update. It's very strange to see a driver change with only about 12 minutes left in the event, but they looked at the calculations and they had made a mistake. David Donahue did not have enough time in the car. Tommy Archer just stormed out of here. The door didn't shut. He kicked the car to shut the door, and then he just stormed off. Hugues de Chaunac tried to put his arm around him, and he just walked away in disgust. pretty angry that that may cost them a position out on the racetrack.
Yes, indeed, it might. They were running 8th place overall. They were behind the Beretta Wendlinger car, and now they're shown a lap behind as we speak. This exact same thing happened to Sasha Masson and Bob Wallach in Texas, I believe, and there was a protest which has been since upheld, and Masson and Wallach got, I believe, half of their points back.
Well, Derek, it's very confusing. It was upheld. They got all their points back, but then they had 10 and 11 points taken away from them. So a very confusing situation. But the bottom line is each team is responsible for keeping a logbook that states how much time each driver has had in the car. And you have to turn in the logbook after the race and have that, of course, turn it to the officials, and they take a look at it and they make sure that you've done the proper amount of time. And each driver has to do a minimum amount of time, and each driver can only do a maximum amount of time. And so that's the issue here for the Dodge team with Donahue and the Dodge team.
And the points that they did give Masson and Wallach back put Masson to the head of the GT Drivers' Championship. They must drop 2 scores, so they're 2 worst scores when they do drop it. So Masson came into this race at 192, Wallach 190, Dirk Mueller, they're all in the same team, at 188. Then we have Randy Post and Bruni Lambert, who we saw had trouble earlier on, all sorts of terminal problems with gearboxes in their 911. Masson and Wallach, we mentioned those, they are now just outside the top 10 as the leaders of the GT category. Look at the lap leaders here. Boy, that just shows you how strong that Panoz was. For most of the race when they ran, they were the pace setters, they were the trailblazers. It is such a shame that David Brabham, no sooner did he get into that car than he tripped over a few slower cars in an incident that really, I mean, was it anybody's fault? It was a racing incident. There is the #1 car driven by David Brabham, way, way down now. As we look at the story monitor, he is 7 laps down in 6th place.
And you do have to feel bad for these guys because Jan Magnussen drove really a pretty inspired race.
Yes,
it was very, very aggressive, and in what was a very, very much a head-to-head battle with Alan McNish, was on terms with him and was able to race him and was able to pass him. Was also able to hit him, but he paid the price for that. But of course, they did just get caught up in that incident, and that is not their fault.
That is the Olive Garden car. Remember, for every lap they complete here, they feed a needy family with the Olive Garden Feed the Hungry campaign that they take to every single American Le Mans city that they race in. It is just a great campaign, and they have fed more than 2,700 people with this Feed the Needy campaign. Just a great campaign to run in conjunction with this American Le Mans series. So hats off to Olive Garden. It's been a great promotion, very successful and very needy.
And you can see the legacy of that early contact, the right front corner of the car. Didier Duradiga is in the car right now. These guys are sitting 4th overall, of course 4th in the prototype class, but they are 5 laps down to the leader.
So now we have less than 9 minutes to go. So we're going to slip away for a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to take you all the way through to the finish. And right now, it's in the control of Audi. What a surprise.
The American Le Mans Series is brought to you by Yokohama Tire Corporation. Turn on technology with Yokohama tires.
Welcome back, and we hope we do not need the rain tires because now we have less than 6 laps to go. The rain has stopped. I mean, it only just came very, very slightly, but it now has stopped. We have... And now you see the Audi still in control. Jeremy, you just mentioned it. I mean, in control.
Well, I've been watching him this last 10 or 15 minutes, and the difference in driving style has been pretty remarkable, compared to the early part of the race where all of these guys in the prototypes were taking incredible chances. And look at him. Look at how patient he's being here. Normally, he would have stuffed that car in there between those 2 right-handers, but he waits to get out onto the straightaway and just drive by and get back to his racing line, and not taking any chances at all.
And that was Kevin Buckler from the Racers group that moved over there, or stayed over on the outside line. Sonoma, California. Kevin runs a preparation shop and restoration shop up at Sears Point. We saw Kevin get hit by Magnuson at the corkscrew at Laguna Seca. He didn't enjoy it, but he got a whack from the Panoz. We have now 5 minutes, just under 5 minutes of this 2-hour, 45 minutes Grand Prix of Las Vegas left to go. And this will give McNish and Capello obviously an unassailable lead in this Drivers' Championship. All manufacturers' championships have been decided before they came here. Audi, Viper and Porsche, P-Class, GTS and GT Class. So that was not anything that was going to be in contention here before we started. There is our number 23 car, the Bruno Lambert car. We saw that earlier, very early in the race. It got itself in trouble with it when it lost the rear bodywork. That didn't seem to slow itself down. Now on the way to the pit lane. Dorsey, you have a comment?
Yeah, you're going to love this, guys. The 23 is pulling in, and you're not going to believe for what. They're making this pit stop to put on some fresh qualifying soft rubber. Randy Popst is going to get into the race car. They know they can't win, but they're going to go for the fastest race lap in their class to try to get 1 point.
Wow.
That's actually quite a clever piece of strategy, because
there's an effort.
And look at that, take the downforce off the car. He's pulling out what is commonly referred to as a wicker bill or a gurney tab. He pulls it out of the rear wing, and that will increase the speed of the car on the straightaway. It will hurt the car in terms of downforce, but if they're putting super sticky tires on it and they're just going for a lap or two to try and get a quick lap, you can get away with a little less downforce.
Well, now that's interesting. Remember, Sasha is leading the Drivers' Championship with 192. Randy Popst and Bruno Lambert have 182 and 180. Popst 182, Lambert 180. So then they go to Australia. So maybe this GTS Drivers' Championship may still be up for grabs. So that 1 point for fastest lap may be worth a lot more than 1 point. We're going to follow his progress. He only has 3 minutes to do that fastest lap. 3 minutes, and we may have a splash and go here for the number 78 leading car. Yes, no, not yet. Will he come in for a splash and go? He has
well, Derek, the peculiar...
more than half a minute of a lead, Jeremy.
Yeah, he's got a pretty good lead, but the run down the pit lane here is very, very long, and the pit lane speed limit, because of the pit lane speed limit, it takes a tremendous amount of time to get in and out of the pit lane. And Calvin, you got a little bit of update?
Yeah, I just asked Alan McNish, I said, are you guys okay on fuel? He said, well, we are. I said, how about the 78 car? And he just shrugged his shoulders and smiled. So there's certainly some activity down here that may be just a precaution in case the car stumbles in the last couple of laps. But Audi are definitely set up for a splash and go if necessary.
If necessary. He is about, he's in fact, he was more than half a second. He is 43 seconds now ahead of the sister car with Capello behind the wheel. So he actually has enough time to get in, get the splash, and get back out again. Boy, can you imagine if they took a risk and they needed it?
Well, remember, they have been having problems with these cars getting them rolling out of the pit lane. So you can't assume that a pit stop is going to be a totally smooth affair. You can see as it gets a little bit darker here, the rub strips on the bodywork there on the nose of the car grinding into the pavement as he makes that transition off the apron up onto the banking. They've had problems getting these cars rolling from the pit stops, and so stopping this car is going to be a pretty big risk.
Less than a minute. Less than 1 minute. I don't know whether Bruno Lambert or that number 23 Alex Job car is going to have enough time to warm up those tires and get a flyer. I don't know whether they brought him in early enough. Randy Popst is behind the wheel. Lambert is his teammate, but Popst is behind the wheel trying to see can he get that one valuable point. I don't don't know. We're keeping an eye on our scoring up here to see can he do it. The Audi is well in control. They are not obviously going to stop for a splash of fuel. We expect a white flag next time by for Capello, for Pirro. There is the white flag. So Audi again take the white flag, running 1-2 despite what happened. 2.2 miles, 14 turns here.
And Derek,
Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
There's the 23 car right there. He did get one lap in. It was about a 1:20 flat, which is about a second and a half off the quickest GT lap so far. So the 23 car has got a lot of work to do. Calvin.
Well, as the 78 car took the white flag there, Biela put his tongue out like, I think we're okay. I think they got enough on the reserve tank, guys, to go one lap, so that may be an indication that they're okay.
Well, he's got about 1.2 miles now to go. Double apex right-hander in the infield. Looks in his mirrors. Doesn't need to go any faster. Had a 49-second lead over the second place car as he started this lap. This will be Audi's 8th win in 11 races. The number 77 car won most of them. This is the 3rd win for the number 78. And he slows down, doesn't take a chance. Up on the banking, takes the checkered flag, waves way before he gets to the checkered flag. And they go right and left of him. That was Frank Biela there with the coat on, coming out to congratulate him. So Biela started the car, did a double stint, then Pirro took over when McNish and Capello had a lot of trouble. Welcome back. Now don't forget, live right here after this event here, we have the BF Goodrich Tires Trans Am Series. And it has been a cracker all year long. Look at Pirro playing with the acceleration. He's behind the pit wall. But look at those boys there. What a job that team has done this year. Now, despite the fact, Jeremy, that they have been so dominant, this has been a dynamite American Le Mans season.
It has been a great season. This team has done just an outstanding job. I think the 78 guys know they got a little bit lucky today, but certainly you're not going to win races without a little bit of luck.
And there is your full field rundown. Wallach and Masson win the GT class. 11th place overall. That gives them 10 wins in 11 races by Porsche this year. 5th win of the season for Masson and Wallach. Good run as you look down through. They're the cars that did not finish as you go down through the end. There were not many casualties here till we went about just over halfway through this race. But there are the Audi boys. What a celebration for those boys there. Again, superb effort. Calvin?
Okay, we're down here in victory lane. Frank Biela, we're going to try and pull Frank over here. Great performance, Frank. Your 3rd win of the year. You need a little bit of traffic there. Pirro did a great job there trying to avoid all the carnage there on that restart.
He did a very, very good job. I mean, I was struggling a little bit after this bad start, but the car was very good and I didn't have any technical problems. So from that point of view, I was quite optimistic when he went in the car that he could catch up the others again. And fortunately, he did it. We were lucky, but a win is a win.
Congratulations, another great performance.
Thanks.
What a time of celebration. There are the two boys, Pirro and Frank Biela. What a great run they had. Jeremy, I mean, I just mentioned earlier on, it's still been entertaining despite the fact that Audi has dominated.
I think that even though we saw a little bit of shenanigans today, it was actually a much better race than the Laguna race. And certainly the Panoz guys, I think, did deserve to win this race or certainly be on the podium. But a great job by all these guys, no question.
Again, many, many incidents that you see here, but it was a great event again for the American Le Mans Series. So for Dorsey Schrader, for Calvin Fish, and for Jeremy Dale, I'm Derek Daly saying so long for the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Final event of the year is the other side of the world, Adelaide, Australia.